What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Celtic Warrior Shane.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Why'd you unmute me last? You've mute. God. Welcome to episode 1. I am at Ref Marsh. We are at WOTR the show, and that is right. We are back here in the dive bar of the IWC for one more episode 1. Episode 1 again. I am successfully unmuted. Everyone can hear and see if you're watching live on YouTube or Twitter or Twitch. You can go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com and find all of those links. You can also just go to YouTube.com/WrestlingOnTheRocks now. That's right. We done it. We done it. We got a custom URL. We got a brand new intro to say welcome on board to Sports Beard and a custom URL. So it's a good and exciting time for us. Not for all. We're going to get into that. Amanda. We got Miss Amanda Jane with us. How you doing, Amanda?
You know, I'm at the salt mine today. That's why no wrestling shirt. But that's okay because we've got... Whoop, wrong way.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Because you're still over in that area. What's in your glass?
You know what? Because I'm technically working, I didn't get to pregame. So not unfortunately, I'm drinking regular Coke. Can't do sponsored, not sponsored today. Too far west.
Oh, totally fine. Totally fine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, and Fiji water. Look at me trying to promote all this stuff. But
Fiji water. I'm having a little Truly sparkling for now, and I might end up having a little bit of vodka later. There's plenty of reasons to drink this week, Amanda, right here on episode 1. We're going to get into it. I'm going to start with some lighthearted stuff, though. A couple little things. We 3 days ago, we did not talk about it yesterday because I thought that you would want to at least give your own little shout out. But it was LA Knight's birthday. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Do you think he calls it his birthday? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His birthday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's my birthday. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
It's my birthday. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is he already in there? Yeah, many reasons to drink for sure. Cheers, dive bar. Jeremy coming through. Jeremy, we're going to hit it, but we're going to do a couple little things off the top, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. I wanted to ask you, Amanda, I saw MLW also a couple days ago signed Gnarls Garvin. Are you familiar with him?
No, but I'd seen that, and I'm like, who's this guy?
Yeah,
but
I'm not familiar with him either, but...
Yeah, especially because there's people that are dropping like flies out of MLW, like Mance Warner. Really? Yeah, I think it was end of last week, so it was after episode 1. Yeah, but it's kind of cool because
Mance Warner left MLW.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also saw Filthy Tom Lawler too. His contract was up, not renewed.
Yeah, Tom Lawler was another one. Mm-hmm.
Where do you think those guys go?
They're going to still do GCW. I know that Lawler usually will do the Bloodsport, Josh Barnett, but he used to do some GCW. It's been quite a while, the actual GCW.
He was at the GCW I was at, the GCW proper. Yeah, he was there and Bloodsport. So yeah, he fit in great there. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think he's probably going to do that. I know one of his stomping grounds. He loves AIW over in Cleveland. Shout out to them. I love them too. They're a really great crew over there. So if you can, they have a podcast. Just go and check it out. The owner's John Thorne, and John Thorne is amazing. I love that guy. He's awesome.
Nice. Well, we'll see what happens with them. We'll see where they're going. Justin time coming through. Cheers, my friends. Justin. Go ahead and have a drink. We're going to get to it. We're waiting for everyone to kind of file in. We're talking about some of the lighthearted stuff here. One of the other things, too, Amanda.
Yes.
One of the Bollywood boys. I don't remember his name. I don't. Yeah, it doesn't have his name listed.
Is it shocking that he's not a Bollywood boy?
No. He's one of the Bollywood boys, the Bollywood blondes. He put out a thing on his birthday and talked about how he's putting it out in the universe. He wants to be successful in Hollywood. So he wants to. He's going to branch out into Hollywood. We'll probably see him in more stuff. And
Nice.
yeah, all their stuff is just says Bollywood boys. So if I even see both their names, I'd be able to tell you which one it was. If I'm being honest. Because I just don't remember either name right now, but I remember the difference between the two of them, and so I just feel bad. But it's one of them. One with the blonde hair right now.
Who is it? Like, there's another tag team that's like that. That you just know the name, but you don't know the individual people.
Well, I can't remember either name right now. And I'm telling you, if I saw both their names, I'd be like, oh, it's this one. Oh, yeah. But either way. But yeah, he's going to do Hollywood. I think that's actually exciting. I think he's really good, incredibly talented. I think he might do fantastic in that. Let's see. But if you don't have anything to add on that, we'll hit up on the next thing, which is Jon Moxley. Did you see the news with Moxley?
Jeremy said Sunil or Samir. See?
Well, see, they're so similar.
Yeah, but it was I believe it was Sunil, but that was their WWE names.
Oh, shoot.
I believe it's Sunil. I believe it was Sunil. Did you hear about the news about Jon Moxley?
I did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess they even talked about it on AEW Dynamite.
Yeah.
We talked about it briefly yesterday. That it was really, really cool that he's getting that help, and I think it's a really good thing.
My first question, since he is technically a WWE alum, who's paying for it? Are they paying for it, or is Tony paying for it? That's a rude question to me to ask, but I was just curious.
That's actually relevant, though, because that's one of the things that, especially people who support WWE, like we do, will bring up. The fact that WWE continuously pays for rehab and rehabilitation centers and stuff for their talent, regardless of whether they're under contract or not. Sean Waltman's gone on record and talked about it before, that when he's estranged from the company, he's reached out several times and had them put him through rehab. They put him through rehab like a half dozen times on their dime, not his. And it was also during times he was not employed by them at all. So it is a relevant question. If people want to compare the two companies consistently, it is a comparable question. Is AEW footing the bill for it, or are they just letting him use his own money for it? And maybe because they don't have any form of policy, or I mean, a lot of people say that the rehab thing that WWE does is a public relations stunt. They say it's a PR move, so they can always fall back on that. Which I don't know, maybe, but even if it is, it's still a good thing. And so I'm just saying that AEW might not have the PR nightmares at this point to feel the need to actually take care of the talent on that regard.
They probably have other PR nightmares.
Yeah.
And how much of his new book was written in that state?
Oh, I've not read his book, but that's a very good question. And then my other question is the internet wrestling community arguing about that? Both things? You know, what's interesting? It's like we bring you guys, all of our listeners and watchers, we bring you guys like really hard-hitting questions that make you go, Yes. Yeah, very hard-hitting. But they're totally valid questions.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that's a good point, that there is absolutely no peep about it, whether or not AEW's taking care of it, whether or not he was in the right mind to write the book, whether or not the published book is going to be is tainted at all by that, what's going on at the time. I think they're valid questions. I don't think that it diminishes the absolute courage that it took to do what he's doing, or it doesn't diminish at all that what he's doing is the right thing to do and an incredible thing to do, and heroic in some aspects, inspiring for many, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it does make me wonder, once he's sober, I'd be curious to know what he thinks about that book, or what he was writing at the time. And I'd also be curious to know if AEW is taking care of him and all that, because, hey, that's the conversation, right? That's what people bicker about online. It's part of the bickering today, which we'll get to in a bit. But how AEW takes care of their talent versus how WWE takes care of their talent, it's a valid question. Producer had something she wanted to say, and then we'll go to you.
Okay.
Oh, I was kind of going to go off, but what people were bickering about was Jericho.
Oh, you're changing topics, so we'll go back to Amanda then. Amanda.
Okay. Real quick with it. Since we're journalists in quotation, I wonder if we can get, because we're asking serious questions here. Mm-hmm. Like, I wonder if we can get an interview with Mox.
Well, I don't think now's the right time for that.
Well, no, if
I'm being honest.
Not right now. No, that's rude of us, or me, for suggesting it. No, but when he's sober and it comes out, like a little bit after.
Well, I mean, then you also have to deal with the idea that the only people who are talking about AEW right now are people who are working for AEW right now. So there's going to be a skewed thing there. Even when people are working for... Even Moxley, before he left WWE, didn't say anything bad about it until he left. And then he goes, okay, now I can say stuff. I can't imagine that there's any difference with AEW. Whether or not people are having negative experiences or positive experience, when you work for a company, you sway towards the positive stuff because you're working for that company, and it just makes sense. So I'd be curious to know down the line.
I was going to say, I was told by somebody that they have to sip the Kool-Aid. They have to retweet things. And this person who told me this, it's like, do you think I'm doing that? No, not really. So you'll have to dig on Twitter to see what I'm talking about.
Nice.
I won't tell you.
Nice.
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah, no hints.
Behind me. There you go.
No hints. Grim Reaper's in the chat saying, hi. So cheers to Grim Reaper coming through. Cheers to Grim.
Cheers.
What's Amanda drinking?
She said she's drinking Coke.
Regular Coke. Couldn't pregame, couldn't do anything. Yeah, couldn't pregame because we're in a meeting.
We're in a meeting. We're having a meeting.
Yeah, because I'm at work. See, this is corporate Amanda.
Yeah.
I just took my
Lunar coming through. Cheers to Lunar.
Hey, Lunar.
Anything else you want to say about the Moxley thing?
No, but I really hope that he gets the help he needs. I don't know what it was fueled by, if it was really fueled by depression or just, whatever. But, those are hard things. And Punk went on yesterday. They're all valid things. And if you need help, definitely, reach out, because people will help you. You'll be shocked. And people you don't think would help do help.
Yes, that's true. And I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again. If you're at the point where you think you maybe might need some help, you probably definitely need that help, because you don't start to think you maybe need help until you're way past the part of needing help, typically. Okay. So I would say even if you're feeling like maybe, then the answer is definitely, absolutely. Let's see. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what you're drinking, it's who you're drinking with. You don't got to drink an entire bottle of Jack Daniels to hang out with your friends.
Okay, that's good, because I hate Jack.
Yeah. Well, that is good. Let's see, before we do that, they live. All right, well, then now's the big stuff. Or you want to talk about the Jericho stuff? Did you see the Jericho thing?
No.
Online, formerly Kalisto, now the Samurai of the Sun, I think, tweeted out that before he made his AEW debut, which I don't believe he signed to AEW, I believe he just made an appearance in that match. I don't think they said he signed, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed it. But he said that he had prayed and talked to John, and then in parentheses, Brody Lee, and was given courage and strength, and said, thank you for showing me to these people, or something along those lines.
And this was a day after Day of the Dead too, so. Oh,
that's true. Day after Day of the Dead.
Which apparently the AEW fans are not familiar with Dia de los Muertos, which is hilarious, because a lot of them are online saying that look, they're WWE's trying to be all like Thunder Rosa.
All right. Well, so what that
Coco?
was, if we're what?
Didn't people watch Coco?
Right. Coco could have taught them. So what she's talking about, completely off topic, is that on Day of the Dead, they posted a picture of WWE posted a picture of Bayley and Dominic Mysterio, and they put this kind of effect that gave him half of a Day of the Dead face, which is actually pretty common in the Day of the Dead makeup anyways, to be half of the face. It's not always full makeup. And people retweeted the picture with Bayley, and started making a bunch of comments like, oh, does Thunder Rosa know about this? Oh, look at WWE's really trying to make their own Thunder Rosa. And it was a whole thing where you look at it and you're like, do you think everything is about wrestling? Like, you think Thunder Rosa created that? Because, like, she's celebrating something very culturally significant that probably is culturally significant to the other Latins in the world as well. So Kalisto tweeted what I said he tweeted, and when he spelled out John, he spelled John, and Jericho retweeted it, and all he said was, you misspelled his name. And then Amanda Huber responded to that with a GIF that said something like, why are you guys mad at me when I'm right? And it just seemed like a real way to, like, shit on somebody for no good reason. Like, I mean, typos happen all the time to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. But people were really, really going back and forth on it, on if Jericho or Amanda were in the right or wrong to try and correct the guy's spelling in that manner.
I thought he went off too, Jericho. Didn't he say something else, like you didn't know him or something?
Don't know. I didn't see that part. Maybe if he said more, he said more. But it was seemingly, at least Jericho stuff seemed really out of pocket. Just seemed really unnecessary. It's weird to, like, gatekeep something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's Jericho, so I wasn't exactly shocked.
Yeah.
Be
Well, my comment is about this. Yo, bro, you probably should want to work on making a better fourth cruise than going after someone because they spelled someone's name wrong. Just a suggestion.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb. So, I guess we'll get into the other news. Here's the big news. Amanda, this happened about an hour ago.
Oh, yeah. No,
hour and a half ago. Per WWE, there is a list of new releases that took place today. They released another big group of talent. It wasn't a onesie-twosie this time around. Oh, Lunar saying in the chat real quick, he goes, I heard about this, super dumb, especially if the tweet is from someone who is ESL. Yeah. Yeah. Kalisto's English is second language. So why are you going to fucking rip someone for a spelling when he's trying to celebrate a guy and feel close to somebody that he likely knew and worked with? Maybe they weren't close. Maybe they didn't share hotel rooms. But it's also very possible and likely that they saw each other in the locker room and talked more than twice. So, yeah, it was just a bullshit thing. But so here's the list. Here's the list of people who were released by WWE just moments ago. Miss Amanda Jane. Are you ready? Are you buckled up?
I'm ready.
We got Frankie Monet.
Not surprised. Thank God.
Well, Jesus. Everybody calm down.
Like, we're going to be nice.
Here to trash everyone.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I am being nice because you know what? They didn't know what to do with her, and that character was awful.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It wasn't clicking. We talked about it.
Okay.
I
think
know.
about it.
I know. We just hate people getting
I know. Getting fired is horrible. But you know what? She's probably going to be on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
That start with an A, probably.
Yeah, it definitely didn't seem to be working. We talked about it here that when she came on, we were super excited, really thrilled to have the Taya Valkyrie in the company, and her coming out with a bougie gimmick wasn't bad, but it wasn't what we thought we were going to get. And then the in-ring stuff just didn't seem to be clicking with anybody on that roster. And I mean, we even talked about it one time where we said maybe they should just call her up and maybe she'll work better with some of the other talent, or was she big fish, small pond, or we didn't know. We just thought it was really strange because it just didn't seem like it was clicking. So I do agree in that regard that it's like, well, it didn't seem like it was working. So I could see that. I do want to preface all this, though, with it does suck that these people lost their job. And none of these people on this list that I go, this person definitely needs to be fired and never come back. But at the same time, I don't think there's too many names on the list that were a total shock. There's a couple, because I do feel like there was a lot of struggle in this list. And I also want to say that the internet and maybe it's just an American thing in general, but we've got a real funny way of super idolizing the rich and bringing them down to our level in a sense. Like, I feel like they took the Heath Slater gimmick to be real for everyone. Like, it's a blue-collar job. The way people are going, like, I can't believe that these people uprooted their entire family and moved across the whole country just for this to happen. And you're like, they didn't have kids. They moved with their girlfriend and a dog to Florida. It's not that big of a deal. I've moved so many times. Fucking relax. I've moved without a job being on the other side.
Thank you. Thank you. Same here.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I've taken jobs. No job I've ever had has paid me 1 year's worth of salary that any of these talent got by working through WWE.
No.
It's fine. They'll be fine. They've all got notoriety now. They're all going to be fine. People need to really relax with this. During the holidays, oh my God. The other thing about their 90-day non-competes that people don't think about or talk about, and I think it's ridiculous, they get paid the entire time. So let's say they did get released today with a 90-day non-compete. That means they have all holidays off, paid in full at their current salary. I wish a job would let me go and pay me for 3 more months during the holidays. That'd have been fucking sick last year.
Yeah, all I got was my vacation payout, and that was it.
Yeah. I've left jobs where they refuse to give vacation or sick payout because they're being petty, and they go, what, are you going to get, a lawyer? You can't afford it. We paid you. We know what you can afford. And I was like, fuck. They know. So I'm just going to say relax with the fucking, I need this job. I got kids. This whole Big E storyline where he's all like, the kids need braces. Come on. It's fine.
No.
Well, it wasn't a full-on storyline. It was a single promo he did as a joke. But I'm saying, like, that shit's not real. Baron Corbin didn't actually go broke. These talent are paid well. These are celebrity with name notoriety. And if nothing else, they can continue to do meet and greets. As we know from some of the, quote, legends who did not do all that much, who still make the rounds at all the meet and greets. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. They'll never need a real job. You know what I mean?
I do have one valid point for being concerned about somebody. And we'll take our one of a favorite of ours, Bronson Reed.
Yeah.
Okay. Australia. Now that he's not working, he needs a visa.
Yep.
And I think Australia is pretty strict on them. That's why it's really kind of sad now that Adam Brooks with ROH is, doing whatever they're doing. He never got to wrestle for them.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic. So I feel bad for those ones who they've uprooted. Yeah, you're coming from Australia. Mm-hmm. It's not a close place, people. Mm-hmm. And your wife came out with you because obviously that's your wife. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they have pets, but whatever, doesn't matter. But now it's like if he does not, there's a certain time they have, and if he does not have a job, pretty much, he has to go back.
Well, and he's also having issues with that. There was actually a really nice interview with Wrestling Inc. Nick Hausman did an interview with Bronson Reed just last week. It's on Wrestling Inc.'s YouTube. There's a couple clips that'll come out too, and but it's there. Nick Hausman did it, and basically Jonah said the only reason he hasn't wrestled yet is because he's having issues with the visa. It's so complicated, and they've made it so difficult that literally that's the only reason we haven't seen him on anything, is because he needs to get that squared away. He said he's very close to having it done, and then you're going to see him right away, kind of a deal. But you're right. In those instances, the WWE took care of a lot of that stuff. So it is a bummer when the people who didn't have to worry about that kind of a thing are now having to worry about that kind of a thing, and it's a very difficult process that the WWE lawyers aren't taking care of on their behalf this time around. So that is frustrating, and it does suck for especially people we want to see because we like them so much.
Speaking of visas and stuff, I don't know if you guys had seen this, but there was a rumor that Marty Scurll married Serena Deeb because he's having the visa issue as well.
Didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Were they dating at any point? Or?
I don't know if it's true or not.
Were they dating? Are you gonna? Can you not hear me?
What did you say?
Were they dating at any point?
They are. They're a couple.
They are dating.
They've been a
Okay.
couple for a while.
All right.
About a year almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then
She's
that's important to
actually-
know.
Actually, she was dating him before the whole stupid, blackballing and whatever you want to call that bull crap. And because of what she's gone through in her life, with drugs and alcohol, she was able to kind of help him a little bit with the alcohol. So.
And they're still together?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's notable.
Yeah.
Ooh. All right. Number 2.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm waiting.
Ember Moon.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I'll say, because we talked about it before, I mean, first and foremost, I love Ember Moon. I think she's so good. I rocked an Ember Moon t-shirt. I have Ember Moon. We got a Schamberger signed right up top. We met her, showed her at Ziggy. Miss Producer Lady's been in her Twitch channel a number of times prior to her shutting it down, so I'm sure it'll come back soon, and then there we go, back at it. And they talked a couple times through there and even through the chat, and she even mentioned straight out, I brought a sugar glider, or some other pet sugar glider. Tell the story.
Yeah, she I don't know how we all got in the topic on Twitch, but she was saying how she was thinking about getting a sugar glider because she met one. A fan brought one to Royal Rumble, and I was in the chat, and I was like, that was me. That was my sugar glider.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was amazing. So she remembered it. She liked it. She still thinks about it, which is great. She should give us a follow because we tweet pictures of him.
She should.
But we love her. We think she's absolutely great. Absolutely great. In that same vein, though, when she went back to NXT, there was a special on WWE PC, their Performance Center YouTube channel, and it was called Ember's Law.
Oh, yeah.
Which I still don't quite understand what Ember's Law is supposed to mean. But,
no, and didn't it roll over to her wrestling character?
Yeah. So it was this whole thing. But in that, she talked about how she struggled really bad on Raw and didn't feel like she was able to find herself or her voice. And when she got injured and she was coming back, she asked if she could just go back to NXT because that's where she felt the most comfortable and she didn't like being on the main roster. So she asked to go back to NXT. And then when she got to NXT, she said, I feel like I'm home. I feel like I'm comfortable. She likes working with Shotzi, her best friend. You know what I mean? And there was a great connection between them, and it was a really cool piece they put together. But in the back of my mind, I was watching that, and I was all like, it sounds kind of like Raw was too hard, so I want to go back to doing something is easier. And that could be hard to come back from, is what I thought. But at the same time, I liked that she was doing what she was doing, and she was happy doing it. But I did think at that time that this could be hard to bounce back from if your conversation from a near career-ending injury isn't, I want to come back battered than ever and prove everybody on Raw that they got something to look out for. But it was like, you know what, that was pretty hard. Can I do the easier thing that was easier for me? It's just gonna be tough. So when I saw that, I thought it could be a form of backlash from that mentality. I think that I think both of them actually would be great in AEW, fill out that roster a little bit. Because I think that also both of them have incredible personalities. That's one thing you're going to see as we go through this list. It's all strong personalities, which is wild.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not even looking on the internet.
Don't.
By the way.
Don't. We're going to break it down
I want to be
together.
surprised.
Yeah. But I do think that Ember Moon is so good and talented and has enough notoriety that she's going to be just fine. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
She plays a ton of D&D, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah, so she's cool in our book.
Yeah.
You know what? She will
Actually,
fit
I
right
have this.
in with those guys who all play D&D.
That's a really good point. She can go there and team with Brandon Cutler.
Cutler and I think Evil Luno plays with them too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But so she was in the WWE table for the G4 D&D live broadcasting, and it was her, Dio Madden, Xavier Woods. I don't think Alexa was on the table. The woman who DM'd it is the woman who DMs on Dimension 20, which I love. And And Tyler Breeze was the other wrestler.
That shocks me.
No. They have a thing. It was on Up Up Down Down. They have a. Oh my God! I can't believe I don't remember the name of it. But I've watched a number of episodes of it. Where Alexa Bliss actually joined the team at one point. Was in role playing as well. It was really cool. But at the time, my brother was working for that studio, and the only thing that was shot live in studio was the DM. Everyone else was remote, but the DM left her D20. So I got the D20. That may or may have not decided someone's fate during that very game. And I leave it right here on the table because I think it's really cool.
Nice.
So, yeah, big fans. I think both of them are going to be absolutely fine. I mean, Taya Valkyrie was a massive star before she even got to WWE.
Oh, yeah.
And being on WWE NXT only helps the cause. So I think she'll be fine. Ember will be fine. The next one I think is going to be a little bit tougher, though. Jessie Kamea. Yeah. She was released.
Really? Uh-huh.
She seemed like one with a lot of potential. I don't remember hearing from her before WWE. Do you?
No.
No. So she could be one that might struggle a little bit, to be honest. But Katrina Cortez as well never got much TV time. She was the Luchadores, who was in NXT. She showed up for a couple of job matches. Yeah, and she had a really good online personality.
Recently, she was on 205 Live, and she was like super positive about that. I was like, wow, I didn't think that was still a thing, but hey, man, you're getting exposure. You're doing what you love. Cool. You're getting paid.
I think that it might, some of these ladies that are, the lesser known ones, and you're like, what's going to happen with them? I think that probably right now, NWA is a great option.
Oh, that would be great, actually. They need women.
Yeah, and then when and if ROH comes back, they've always been, we got to have this great women's division. I mean, but I don't know. But that's it's a huge question mark. But definitely NWA would be great for some of these ladies because you can still build that, still learn, like working the crowd and things like that. I think that might be a good option.
And I think Frankie and Ember could actually help in getting Camille to that next level. Because Camille's good, but she's still she's not as good as Thunder Rosa. You know what I mean? She's not as good as Allison Kay. She's just not on their level yet. She'll get there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if you brought in a Frankie or an Ember to run a couple matches through with Camille, I think Camille is a sponge. I think she'll learn from them, and I think that before long she'll be the kind of dominant champion that she's being portrayed as. She'll be on the other side of that, where it's just like, oh yeah, she's basically Brock Lesnar of the Indies. Let's do this. Like, it could be really cool because I think she's got the potential for that for sure. And I'm not saying she's doing a bad job of it now, but the only thing that makes you better is getting in the ring with someone who's better than you. And I think that she wants that. I really do. At least that's what they say. That's what I've been told. It's what I've heard. What do I know? I'm a schlub who drinks on a podcast with my friends, my drinking buddies right here in the dive bar of the IWC. Amanda, you ready for the next one?
Yep.
The next one, fresh off of NXT just this week, Jeet Rama. That was the guy that Solo Sikoa beat the shit out of in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
I don't remember seeing him before that, or I guess not seeing him after that. So I don't know.
They're like, hey, look, you get on TV once. Bye.
Yeah. Hey, look, buddy, we'll get you on TV. Promise. We'll get you on TV. So that's one. Don't know. He didn't do bad by any means. So we'll see. I mean, see what the future holds for him. He's the type of dude that might do well learning, or putting up a name for himself in the indies, Oni Lorcan.
Really?
Oni Lorcan finally let go. Yeah, out of NXT. But he also seemed like an NXT lifer too, and I'm starting to wonder if that's something they want. As we talk about, because we've talked about it before when we talked about the state of WWE/NXT. With them supposedly moving away from indie darlings, I wonder if they're actually trying to flesh out some of the indie mentality, being like, hey, you guys are indie wrestlers who wrestle like indie wrestlers and talk like indie wrestlers, and we want something different. I wonder if because we talked about this, NXT was trying to be the alternative to mainstream WWE in a lot of ways. It was indie wrestling. There was everybody online who loved NXT did not necessarily love the main roster and vice versa. So I do think that when AEW came in and said, we can be a big indie too and do things with a little bit more of a revolving door, or a lot more of a revolving door of indie talent, AEW really has become the national local wrestling promotion. You know, which is pretty cool. Like, there's a local promotion down here that gets some of those big name talents from time to time. Matter of fact, I mean, they're starting to do it through Texas and Tennessee now too, so it gets a little muddled. But they got Braun Strowman's going to come through. They had the Lucha Brothers came through a while back. They had Tessa Blanchard. They had Foley came through. Like, a bigger local promotion will get some of these bigger names from time to time. And I feel like, and they'll get a lot of people from around the area. AEW's big enough that they're like the national local promotion. They're going to get this star for a week. They're going to get this person for a week. Amanda?
I just remembered.
Yeah.
Since you said Tessa, there's that women's, the WOW.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever. So that's another great, when you said Tessa, and I was like, in my head, God, she's so great. I just wish people, it's like, who cares? So what? You know, like none of us have done something bad. Come on now.
Yo, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that this could potentially be a move to flesh out a lot of that mentality and say, hey, look, ultimately the indie version of WWE didn't work. AEW's doing it and doing it better. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that doesn't mean that WWE has no reason to continue doing it the way they were doing it. So I feel like they're getting to the point where it's all like, well, get all those indie guys out. Because they were trying to take indie people with buzz and trying to make them big. I think at this point, they're going to be looking for people who have more than just a buzz. You know what I mean?
And here's my point with AEW. Okay, yes. And I was going to talk about it when we were talking about AEW, so I don't know if you want me to wait on this topic.
I mean, if it's part of the topic.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're saying that, AEW is doing the indie thing a little bit better. But you've seen in the last couple of weeks some of these matches. Yeah. It looks like WWE to me.
Some of it, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it really does. Like, now it's like, what, Nero and Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. Andrade and Cody. Andrade and Cody was definitely a WWE style match.
Oh yeah, totally. And so why aren't people bitching about that? Because that's something I would bitch about. Like, if you're trying to be this alternative, and especially because I actually kind of did tweet about it, but especially because you've got a very strong mid-card group that you don't really utilize. And it's kind of a shame, and it's like you need to rotate people in a little bit better.
That's true.
I would say they're not, Luchasaurus or whatever, but
it's a good point. They are doing a better job, or have historically thus far been doing a better job at being the national indie promotion, your local promotion on big TV, but they are straying a little bit away from that in a way that, could upset the apple cart. But by that time, WWE's already like, nope, we're going a different direction. Grim Reapers in the chat says the pandemic version of NXT is now completely erased, whether the wrestler was still on the NXT roster or called up. Maybe. I mean, as we get through this list, there's definitely an argument to be made there. I feel like there's got to be somebody that we're not thinking of. I mean, Ciampa's there, but he was kind of pre. But regardless, the changing of AEW could impact some of that stuff. I do think the influx of all this WWE trained talent with TV notoriety, who then will have a higher price tag on getting them in, could ultimately see a big shift within the indies as well. But I don't know. But I am saying that I think that when I look at this list, part of it is WWE saying, well, we tried doing a big indie thing and it didn't really work, so now we're going to do our thing and a small WWE thing. NXT 2.0 definitely feels like it's no longer indie wrestling. It is now small WWE. So you can get ready for the big time, but WWE. There's a lot less of a difference between those two at this point. So as we keep going, though, You'll see
Okay.
what I'm talking about. Because Oni Lorcan, I felt, was like an NXT lifer. But I don't see how he would have worked on the main roster. And I feel like that the thing we knew about Oni is he was going to have a great match every time. It was going to be believable. It was going to be stiff. But what the fuck was his character even? You know what I mean? He had more of a character online than he did on TV. So if they're trying to flesh out this version of NXT or this indie wrestling style and saying, hey, we're just going to release everyone back into the indies and go back to the way we were doing things before because that was working for us in their own way, then I guess Oni Lorcan being part of that, being caught up in that is not a total shock because he felt like an NXT lifer in that way, you know? After that, we had Trey Baxter. Which,
really?
Isn't this the third time they've let him go?
Trey Baxter.
Cora Jade's boyfriend? What was his name before
No,
this?
this was the first. He's only been there once.
This is
But
the second time he's been through for sure.
Really? Okay. Well, to be quite honest, again, I think that, because these guys had so much buzz. There's two things with Trey Baxter. That one is he's only been wrestling for like 2 years, maybe 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a newbie, but he's
fantastic
so good
for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, GCW had a huge impact because that's where Zane came from.
Yep.
Who I don't even remember his name anymore, but Alex Zane, and then obviously Trey Baxter, and he'll be fine. He's just going to go back in that GCW fold. So also, depending upon who is on this list, GCW might have a lot of good things to fill in that roster.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's male because I don't know if they're really going to bring another woman because they do really well with Alley Cat. And then Thunder Rosa, I think, has been she's done a couple, 1 or 2, and she's scheduled for more. But yeah, I mean, you've got to be like top tier women. I don't think that Taya would do it, but yeah, but that's that at least he knows that, you know what? That's where he's going to go back, and he'll go just like Alex Zane, go back, and he'll be on PWG. So he's going to be fine.
He'll be all right. He will be all right. After him, Zeta Ramier, I think it was Ramier. She was, if you remember, right when Tony Storm came back, there was that kind of like jobber type who got a quick win over Tony, and it was a big deal. That was her.
Was I watching NXT then? No, I don't think so.
I thought you were when NXT was when they brought Tony Storm back to NXT proper.
Yeah, because did it happen?
It was on the CWC.
No, but did it happen? Because I started watching like the week before, a week or 2 before Halloween Havoc. So it's been a year.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely between there. Maybe it wasn't, but
I don't know. I don't
she was on a
that.
couple times, got a couple of quick victories on like veterans and such, but she was really small, but really, really incredibly talented, and was kind of like, we thought of her as like the Leon Ruff of the women's division. Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, I mean, I think she'll be all right. We'll see where that goes. I'm going to skip that one and say it in a minute. B-Fab. B-Fab from Hit Row.
Okay, why are you breaking up Hit Row? I thought they were really invested in Hit Row.
I mean, I get it, but here's the weird bit. Like, I get why you'd bring up Hit Row. And we talked about the one match we saw B-Fab in was a street fight, and we thought, not bad, not the best match of all time. She was all right, but she'll get there kind of a deal. But at the same time, she was utilized so well in Hit Row as even just a mouthpiece, as part of that ensemble, the voice, even her swagger coming out, I felt like brought a lot to that faction. That if they didn't like her wrestling, just don't have her wrestle. Like, she can still do all the other things. She can still be a part of the entourage. You know what I mean? Because she's a presence.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised by that one. I thought that she was well protected in Hit Row, that she was surrounded by enough greatness that even in the ways that she wasn't great, it didn't need to be exposed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
it's just so bizarre to me.
Really
but
weird.
but in a way, I think, I don't know, if you want to argue on, I'm sure internet Twitter argues about this, the AEW, WWE people, is some people think that, oh, she was the answer for WWE when you look at Jade Cargill.
Oh, I heard people say
because
that,
they're both that same kind of attitude, the swagger, but Jade can wrestle, kind of, sort of. So yeah, but yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. Let's see. So that one was a bummer because, like I said, I thought she was well protected. The next two I'll give you together: Gran Metalik and Lindsay Dorado, the other two members of Lucha House Party.
Oh.
But Gran Metalik put out a tweet saying, "Thank you for granting me my release," which makes me believe that he requested it.
I think probably Lindsay Dorado did too.
I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know that there was going to be that. I mean, they're incredible talent. Absolutely fantastic. And that tag team elimination chamber, they were fucking highlighting there, crawling all the way up to the top to do that splash. So dope. Yeah. And wasn't it Lindsay's constantly training with Sasha Banks and stuff? Yeah.
I believe so.
Fantastic talent all around. But at the same time, how much more were they going to do with Lucha House Party? You know what I mean? Like, I could see them being done with the characters on both sides. I could see the wrestlers saying, how much more of this do we want to do? And I could see the company saying, we don't know what else there is to do. So that's one where if they were requesting their release and they got it, then I'm sure they'll go to AAA and work with Kalisto there and potentially in AEW. Like, they could do some really good stuff.
Yeah. Probably do Crash down there in Tijuana. But yeah, it just
they'd be great in GCW. GCW does great with the luchas.
Yeah, but it's funny because I think that WWE at the end of the day, they really just don't. The luchadors in them is just very short. It's like, we have our luchador, it's Rey. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion, but.
Well, and then on the same token, though, you have Rey Mysterio, and he's the new measuring stick. So if you're a luchador and you're not Rey Mysterio, I mean, why wouldn't they say, well, we've got the best? You know what I mean? Like, so I could understand, I mean, both sides of that. I think you're right, where it's all like unfortunate because they bring in a couple luchadors and it's all like, well, they're not Rey, but at the same time, you're like, well, fuck, they're not Rey. Like,
yeah,
it's an unfortunate thing because Rey is just still that damn good that
but no one's gonna be like Rey or better. That's the problem.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it is a little wild that. The next two I'm gonna put together as well. First, Scarlet, accompanied by Karrion Kross, both released by WWE today.
Oh. Well, I've got strong thoughts on this one, but I'm like, oh God. I think because we've talked about this on episode 1, it seems like they didn't know what to do with him. And when they brought him up to the main roster, because we all thought, oh, he's destined to be there because he's that good. No, they booked him shitty. This is a person that I do hope Tony opens the checkbook for, him and Scarlet. Because you know why? Like, he could probably, be a good accompaniment to the House of Black, But I think that they're just so damn good that whoever picks them up, I know he's not going to go back to Impact, so he'll probably do GCW a little bit, but knowing him and his getting signed to WWE, like, I know this from him, he's a grinder, and if he has to go on his own dime to every single AEW show, and like, I need to talk to Tony, he's gonna do it. He used to do that with PWG. I think that pissed Super Dragon off, but I mean, he's that good. And I think it's their loss.
You know what's wild about it too, because we've talked about it a little bit here and there, is he, even on the indies, people were like, he's built for WWE. This is a WWE-sized character. This is crazy, you know? And then when you see him debut in NXT, I said it within 2 weeks. I was like, why is he in NXT? This is a waste. Put him on Raw or SmackDown. This guy is built for main roster in every sense. And then they threw him on the main roster and said, let's just strip a lot of that down and see what he is without everything that makes him this spectacular. And he was making it work and giving it his fucking all. And it was weird for a lot of fans. I mean, I get that. A lot of fans were, you know, not thrilled about it one way or the other. But at the same time, he was making it work and making it make sense and giving it everything, that it really felt like a no-brainer with him, that he's meant to be there. He's supposed to be there. And at the end of the day, whatever hole they dug him in wouldn't take that hard to reset him out of it. Yeah. You know? And then they released him, and I went, this doesn't make sense, because it's the only place that made... On the indies, they said, why isn't he in WWE? On NXT, it's why isn't he on the main roster? And on the main roster, they're all like, what are they doing with him?
And what the hell is this guy? Yeah. Make up your mind. But, you know, honestly, like, one good thing is, like, because since he's from California, one good thing is if he doesn't get picked up right away, he'll be on the indie scene out here. So I'm excited about that. But I really think the AEW is where he's going to go.
I think it's possible. I think I'd like to see him at least do one Bloodsport. I want to see him in Bloodsport at least once.
Oh, you will. You will. Oh, you will.
Because he's too legit, man.
I think, too. I think.
I want him in GC. I don't understand also why Alistair Black hasn't ended up in Bloodsport at least once.
You know what I mean? I think when they booked the last one, he still was in 90 Day, but I don't know. That could be, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
But I think he'll show up on a GCW at one point eventually.
Yeah. We got Ninja 21 Max saying big belt, and I heard some ice, so I'm wondering if they subscribed, or I can't see the chat, so I don't know if they got a big belt on their name or what they're doing here, but we appreciate it. Cheers to Ninja Mac. The logos are in the Twitch chat, not in the other one that we're using. Let's see.
He followed us.
Give us a follow. Yep. Cheers to you.
Woo!
Let's see.
Thank you.
FSW Vegas existed, and apparently is a very similar version of Bloodsport that Karrion Kross was a part of at some point. So
yeah, but the dude who owns and runs FSW is kind of shady. That's all I'll say about that.
All right, I got you. Well, yeah, it was a
bummer.
It's a bummer. It's a bummer because I don't know how he necessarily fits in the indie scene, having historically seemingly been bigger than the indie scene in that regard. So we'll see. I think you're right. I think AEW makes the most sense. So.
That's why, because that platform, oh my God, him coming out like during like one of their big shows, one of their pay-per-views, holy shit, you know, and being able to do an entrance, you know, like he should have, like at a WrestleMania.
I will say that the issue with that specifically to me, the AEW has enough blackouts. Yeah. Six or seven times a night, the lights go out, they turn on the lights, there's someone there, or an entrance happens. Everyone starts with the lights out. Yeah. It's like someone's on the light switch, just flickering it all night. So do we really need another entrance with a blackout? But no.
No, actually, I don't think they would do a blackout, to be quite honest. I think with him, the right play would be, you know, he's not the one coming out.
Right.
Scarlet would be the one coming out first.
Oh,
so I don't think a blackout would happen if they do this right. But then again, you know what? I don't book this shit. So
That's a good point.
that's my
good
fantasy
point.
booking right there.
Let's see. The next name on the list was Harry Smith. That one was shocking to me
KES
because
back. Can we get KES back, please? Tony Khan, sign him.
who was he
Because
in
that's
with?
what you can do with Archer. Because honestly, Archer, it's not working by himself.
That's true.
And I loved KES, Killer Elite Squad, for those who don't know. So I probably see Archer and Harry going back to Japan. Maybe New Japan again, or at least their US version of it, because they were Suzuki-gun. So definitely, I think, Harry's going to be fine either way, but I really want to see him back with Archer, because I think that would make Archer a little better, one. And then two, it puts in the tag division, which they don't really have. They don't have a lot of like muscle. It's all like flippy floppy guys, when I look at it. So they need the muscle back there.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be great.
Oh, he'd be great. He'd be great wherever he goes, and he'll be fine. He did really well on the Indies before. I just think it's crazy because they brought him in right before SummerSlam.
Yeah.
They had him do one like .com exclusive interview where he said, "Yeah, I'm back and I'm excited to be here," and then that's it. We never saw him again. He never even got the chance to debut. So I don't know. I'm really bummed out by that. And I kept thinking about it too. Every week we were watching and something would happen and be like, oh, we want this. And even with like Drew's stupid open challenge that he's been doing on SmackDown, I thought to myself at one point, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be great if Harry Smith came out and got a win over Drew? Because then it would be really cool and be all like, oh, who's this guy? He just beat a former world champ. You know what I mean? And what a great push that'd be for Harry to get going,
Yeah. But also with Harry, if he doesn't get signed right away, remember, he is fantastic at, I think it was jiu-jitsu or something that he had, like, oh my God, he was amazing with, won all these different tournaments and things like that. So I don't know. But hey, best smelling man in professional wrestling, glad you're back. Yes.
Next on the list was kind of a surprise as well, Nia Jax.
Not really to me.
She's
They should
cousins
have done
with
that
The
a long
Rock.
time ago.
But she's The Rock's cousin.
I don't.
And
It doesn't
everyone
matter.
hates her. It does matter.
Why?
I don't know. That's what people say online. Just tell me people say online.
I don't know.
I was kind of
It could be
surprised
like-
just because she seemed at this point to be such a heat magnet. You put anyone in the ring with her and people were going to cheer the other person. The audience didn't like her. And that's a useful thing in wrestling. You need that.
Yeah.
So,
But if that's The Rock's cousin and you're not like a favorite, you gotta go.
Yeah. So
But I'm not shocked. I think it's been a long time coming. But
I mean, I guess I would say her character was a bit static at this point. Let's see. This one got me by surprise as well. Eva Marie just made a return. Just had the Evolution run where it got Dewdrop over. Eva Marie was an absolute heat magnet. Absolute heat magnet. And her character worked. Her character was working so well that it got Piper Niven over under a silly name like Dewdrop because of the amount of hatred the fan base had for Eva Marie. That's such good heat that it turned Dewdrop into a star immediately. I mean, Dewdrop ran with it, and she's definitely skilled, and she didn't do nothing. But that heat that was surrounding Eva Marie, it gave her the launching pad.
Yeah. Oh, she's never going to go back to wrestle. She's just going to do whatever she does, model or I don't know.
She does a lot of community
sell
work too.
underwear. Huh?
She does a lot of community work too. She does a lot of charity stuff and community stuff.
Yeah.
Which is also great if you're, I mean, look at Titus O'Neil.
Yeah.
The greatest stuff he's ever done for WWE was not in ring. You could have had the same thing with Eva Marie. You know what I mean? She's not a bad.
Yeah, but she and him, it's too different. It's totally two different
Didn't have to be.
levels of that. Because when you look at it, like Titus really is like in Tampa, he's like next to the mayor, like he's like the king of Tampa. I mean,
Yeah, but it
everyone
didn't start
loves
that
him.
way. It didn't start that way.
It didn't.
That's what I mean. Like, she could have been that at some point. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
if they had done
I don't
that
think
stuff,
so.
why not?
Well, I'm only basing this because of Total Divas. No, I don't think so. Because she was one of those last ones that were like model-like, that, you know, they trained to wrestle, and yeah.
But I'm saying it doesn't matter. She doesn't have to wrestle to be a community outreach ambassador.
No, yeah. I mean, you know, and plus I don't think she will go back. I mean, you know, she was probably doing better when she wasn't.
I'm not saying that she needs to go back. I'm saying I'm surprised that if they didn't want her to wrestle, they didn't just pull back and continue to do charity work with her under their name as an ambassador, because she's does that kind of stuff already. Like, you could have put the machine behind her in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you got to think of it in a way of, well, she's kind of slutty, and does, like,
what do you mean she's
does the
slutty?
machine? Well, you know, her way she dresses. You know,
Because she's dresses a certain way, she's slutty?
Yeah, well, she's very provocative looking. There's some times where I'm like, man, you look like a hooker. Or you look like a Victoria's Secret model when they do those shows with the big wings and whatever on TV.
Yeah. I never thought that.
Oh, I'm a woman. I'm judgmental.
Well,
but
if you want to be judgmental.
I don't know. But yeah, because that, I think, has been her thing. It was more about her beauty than it was about what she can and can't do.
But we didn't get to see what she can and can't do, especially on the.
Yeah, you did. We saw enough. You saw enough. But I think so.
Not on
the
charity
second run,
stuff.
but even the first run, you know.
But she was actually pretty decent by the end of the second run as far as wrestling goes. She wasn't Carmella. Yeah. She wasn't Becky. She wasn't going to be breaking those records, but she was good enough and a personality enough and actually a motivational person enough that I'm saying I'm surprised they didn't utilize her backstage in an ambassador to charity like role with it was the same vein as they did with like a Mojo and a Titus. Like, it just doesn't seem like it had to go that way. You know what I mean? It seems like you could have done stuff because she's passionate about community outreach the same way they are. Put her in that realm because she's already a face and she has that notoriety, you know? Grim Reaper's in the chat. He says, Eva Marie does a bunch of workout and nutrition videos on her socials with her husband. Yeah. And the whole evolution thing was a take on like what she's actually doing. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they turned it up to make it heelish, but she does do a lot of that kind of like, a lot of that footage was recorded outside of WWE. She really does host a lot of those big like, workout things and charity things. But, and she was in that TV series, whatever it was. I don't remember, her movie or something like that. I'm just saying, like, she had enough star power qualities that it felt like you could have done more than just have her wrestle, that I was a little surprised they let her go without even flexing that side. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just because there's so much charity stuff that WWE does, it can't all be done by Titus all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
I have a woman there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, seems like you could have. Let's see, then the final two I'm going to lump up together as well, because they came out pretty close together. Keith Lee and Mia Yim. Both released. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
When they've got there was a lot of heat that I was seeing with them. And I think it really I don't know who it really started with, but I just think that for some reason they thought the two of them were toxic. But I don't know. I can't say. But again, I mean, they also weren't using Keith Lee right. You know, because the man's great on the mic. Okay. In his indie run, his theme music, he raps it. And if you ever tweet him and you want to hear it, he'll actually sell it to you for like $2 or something. I got it that way. So I don't want to upload it and everyone do it for free because these guys, you know, but I think it was the top that they were put on this label of they're toxic. And, you know, if you want to, you know, if you want to keep a happy locker room, you don't need that. So that was their thought, I think. Mm-hmm. But again, 2 people who will be fine.
Yeah.
No matter where
were
they
big
go.
stars before they got there. They'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Blake Christian, Trey Baxter's already booked for GCW in December.
Told you.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Told you. Mm-hmm. They didn't let go of his girlfriend, did they?
No,
Or
Gorge's
Jake?
still there. Yeah,
Mm.
still doing. Let's see. Yeah, those are the last 2. I'm surprised in just the amount of star power and wow factor that Keith Lee has in general, and the amount of star power that Mia Yim had. And she's a badass. Remember that
She is.
fucking ladder match? Like broke her face, and she was like, "Nah, let's run it through." Like what?
Yeah. It's because
I know there was the hell stuff. I think we're going to hear more of their story at some point, and I'll be curious about it because I know Keith Lee seems pretty private, but he also seems like he wants to talk about what was going on because it seems wild. And if he does have a bunch of health issues, he wouldn't be the first one who got released because they just didn't know if it was safe to use him forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you even talked about it before that Shotzi Blackheart, her first run was cut short on Tough Enough, and Beth Phoenix, her run was cut short too because of heart stuff that they found. And he said he was going through a heart thing. And I know they rebranded him as Bearcat Lee, and I was digging it, but a lot of people were shitting on it online. That's the other thing about this. When I look at this list, almost all these people I've seen get totally shit on online all year.
Maybe that's part of it.
Well, and that's what I mean. And then the fans are sitting there going, how could this happen? How could they release them? They get this fake outrage because they just want to hate anything WWE does. Mm-hmm. And so when they put Keith Lee on TV, they say, well, this is fucking stupid. This is terrible. We don't like this at all. And it's always like, no disrespect to the talent, but WWE's ruining this person altogether. It seems a little weird that at the same time when they get released, you go, how could they ever release them? If your mindset is that WWE doesn't know how to use any of these people, then it's good. It was like the first thing you said about Frankie Monet when I told you. You said, oh, good. She'll be better back on the indies. She can do it better on her own, you know? So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, the biggest one for me right now, and I'm still kind of like, whoa, is Cross and Scarlet. That's the big one for me.
We got shit happening, man. I'm hearing noises. I don't know if you can hear it on your side. Maybe not because you're going through Zoom. But I'm hearing ice. I'm hearing air horns. I think we're getting follows and subscribes, and it's not popping up on my thing, so I got to go look at it. So keep talking about what you were talking about. I will say in the chat real quick, because you can probably respond to this. Also, some of the NXT releases may have 30-day non-competes because Marsh loves contracts. It's a good point. Yep. And all my contract researching, turns out sometimes it's 30 days, sometimes it's 90 days. It depends on contracts based off contract language in the contracts. And he said instead of the 90 days. Yeah, and that was the deal with Malachi Black, right? He was under an NXT release clause, so it was a 30-day. Scarlet put out in 30 days she'll be free too to go out. So the NXT talent does get 30 days paid vacation. And then the WWE main roster get 90 days paid vacation. Let's not forget that a non-compete is not a failure to get paid. It's a failure to appear on other TV shows. So, and then let's see. New Kind of Hero said, you sexy bearded bitch. And we're going to go to you just a second, Amanda. Let me read this last one so that way you can get to it. Keith Lee responded to a comment on his Instagram earlier saying he wasn't the one who wanted the Bearcat gimmick. Oh, interesting. He goes, I thought it was pretty interesting since everyone was saying he was the one who vouched for the nickname. That is interesting because dirt sheets are always right, Jeremy. But it did seem a little peculiar. It did seem interesting. I thought he was going to play with it really well just because was it Bearcat was the first African American champion ever in the history of wrestling, so it felt like it had some gravity to it in that regard. So if it didn't come from him, I wonder who it did come from because that seems a little weird otherwise. But if he said it wasn't his idea, then yeah, I'd be interested in hearing his thing. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, smarky internet people aren't going to know that Bearcat was like the first African American. That I'm just saying they're not, because these people don't do their research. They think that if they read the gospel of Uncle Dave or that Bix dude or whatever on Twitter, all these people, no, the guy's a douche. Bix, but a lot of them are. So I don't trust that. But I think with Keith Lee, again, that's someone that they did not use correctly and well. Another person, unless I'm mistaken, and one of you guys can, correct me, but the really big guy is it? Well, he was Donovan Dijak, wasn't it? What was his name?
T-Bar.
Was he released before?
No, he's just been he's on Raw. Or he's on SmackDown now? Yeah, he's T-Bar. He's on Raw.
I don't know. But that's one I've been surprised that, because at first I don't think they've utilized him very well. And I always thought that he would probably go before like a Keith Lee. Although they did have a great match together and it broke the ring at PWG.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. But again, these guys are going to be fine. My comment is when PWG does do Bola this year, it's going to be mighty interesting. Mighty interesting.
You can have some really cool stuff with that.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And at least it will go back to not being, AEW light, because that's honestly what the last couple of cards have seemed like.
Bola?
Light. Not Bola, no, at PWG.
Oh, PWG.
Bola's always got a fantastic bunch of people that you don't know and people that you know. Mm-hmm. So, and the last couple of PWGs, the only notable one that no one really knew was Lee Moriarty. So,
yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that was them. That was all the releases. I think, oh, yeah, and cheers to New Kind of Hero giving us the old Prime subscribe. If you want to Prime subscribe, you can go to WrestlingRocks.com and learn how to connect your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account to get a free Amazon Prime subscription to us. You don't know it, but if you already have Amazon Prime, you're paying for a Twitch subscription, and you just haven't allocated it. So it's literally money that sits in your Amazon Prime account that goes dormant, and it's not reusable. You can't save it up. You get one Twitch subscription for free to you every month. If you go through and Prime subscribe the way that New Kind of Hero did, it costs him literally $0.00, but it buys me a drink. So you can go ahead, and what you're already paying for is just not being allocated. You can allocate that to us to get us a few more drinks here. So you can go to WrestlingRocks.com and learn how to do that. Let's see. Jeremy also says, of course, the Dirt Sheets are the all-knowing wizards of the IWC. Yeah, right?
I know more than some of these jackasses myself.
I know. It's so fucking funny. It's so funny. Yeah. But yeah, and I agree with you. They're going to be fine. All of them are going to be fine. I mean, the fact that there was a moment at any point where you go, what? Lets you know they're going to be fine. You know what I mean? Like, if you were at all surprised by any single release, they're fine. They're fine because you're not the only one who felt that way. You're not the only one who watches wrestling. They're going to be fine. And they're fine now. And then being paid for 90 days to not be on TV is fine.
Yeah. They're doing all right.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. It'll be nice to get paid through the holidays and then get back to work beginning of the year.
Yeah. You know what I thought when you were saying about these releases? There were about 4 names that I had swirling in my head that I'm like, God, they probably released these people. Timothy Thatcher.
Yeah.
Is one.
I don't know where he's been.
Yeah, he hasn't been anywhere. And not only that too, but his style of wrestling is not a WWE style. Yeah. So, and I doubt they're going to put him with like Walter, but I mean, it's watered down ring comp. So I thought that he would be on that list. Another one I thought would probably be on that list, Cameron Grimes. And the only reason why is it's because now look at the ridiculous stuff he's doing. I mean, him and LA Knight, that was gold.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because those guys are really good friends, maybe even best friends off TV. But I know they're friends. But it's weird to me because they had a great chemistry. And now it's this weirdness and, you know, I don't know. So that's why I thought Cameron Grimes would be on that list.
Yeah,
And
there was a
then-
moment I was nervous for LA Knight too, because he seems to be in this really weird holding pattern. This week on
Yeah.
NXT even, he didn't have a match or anything. He was the host for Halloween Havoc, but he only had one segment the whole show.
Yeah.
And it was real minor. And then on this week, he did commentary for the Grayson Waller match. And partway through the match, I mean, he did a good job with it because he's LA Knight.
Yeah.
He's going to fucking knock it out of the park every time.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the fuck we're doing with him. It just seems
No.
like this static kind of holding pattern where it's all like, wait. And I'm just all like, wait for what? It feels like he's one of the few highlights I have in the show at this point. One of the things I really look forward to. And it's so small
Yeah.
that I just don't get it. The dude's got so much star power. I don't understand how he's in this weird middle card meandering storyline, especially fresh off the Cameron Grimes one that was fucking killer.
Well, you know, I'll be curious to see, because we've been saying he's like, when he's going up on the main roster,
Yeah.
because that was the other one, like Cross and him. And I wonder what would happen. That's what I'm wondering. Because he should be up there. I mean, he's got better mic skills than most people.
Yeah.
So,
I think the main roster crowd would eat him up too. The way he talks in catchphrases and stuff.
oh, they'd love it.
Nah. Love it.
Nah. Yeah. Oh,
Shoes of a champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, can you imagine
That's
how
gonna
quick he'll get the whole crowd fucking yelling at him? So fucking
Oh my God. He would be like, oh God, Cloud9, man.
Yeah, that crowd would just
Cloud9.
fucking eat him
Let me
up,
talk
man.
to you. Yeah, no, he just has to come out with
He would go out there and say, "Let me talk to you," and the whole crowd would go, "Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah."
Mhm. I mean, hell, look at it, NWA, how small the audience was. Like what, maybe 50, 75 people?
Yeah.
And everyone ate that shit up.
Oh, couldn't get enough.
Everyone.
Could not get enough.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Can't-
I'm glad he's still there, but it does make me wonder what's next for him.
And then the other person who I thought too, I was like, I don't know, because he's been not doing all that much, I think, in my personal opinion, was Ricochet. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a tough one too. But
And why didn't they put Gargano? God damn it. That's another NXT lifer.
so supposedly Gargano's contract is up shortly, and
Oh,
supposedly Kyle O'Reilly's is up in December. And there's a lot of rumblings about what that could mean. And then I think people are
NXT.
speculating now because at the end of NXT, or not the end of it, but close to the end, at the end of Ciampa's spot, before he even got to the back, Gargano came out and they had this look at each other, and people were like, "Oh, is this going to be his final match?" I mean, to be honest, I couldn't give one single shit about another Gargano and Ciampa match. Their rivalry destroyed Gargano for me. Like, literally made me get to the point where by the end of their last match, I just didn't want to see it anymore. And I didn't want to see Gargano. And after that, during that rivalry, I was so behind Johnny, and he got to the point during specifically their Chicago street fight where I said, fuck this dude. I don't want to see him wrestle anymore. And I haven't been invested in a single match he's been in ever since. So if they're circling back to it, it's like, I don't know what for. You know,
Piss you
especially
off?
because, but they had they had that final match. Yeah, just to piss me off. They had that final match that was like, this is the last match ever in the history of time for us. Like,
someone forgot that.
let that be that. So,
Amnesia.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
look at
those are the
Cher.
releases.
Yeah, Cher always says this is the last tour, and what happens?
Oh yeah,
So-
she's been on farewell tours for decades.
Oh yeah, at least as far as I remember, at least 20 years.
Yeah, I have. I don't know if I still have it anymore, but I used to have at least a Cher farewell tour shirt from when I worked backstage on one of them, and it was like we made a joke at the time because it was her 4th or 5th year doing that tour, and it was all like, how many of these is gonna have? And then she just kept doing them. It's like, oh fuck.
Yep. And then she went to Vegas, had her residency, and was like, oh, when this is up, I'm done. Nope. What did she do? She went back on the tour.
Yep.
Go figure.
Farewell.
Yeah.
But that's who was released this today, and yeah, it was a real bummer for. It's a bummer in a lot of ways, but at the same time, it can be refreshing too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of people can do their own thing. I mean, as much as we liked Alistair Black in WWE, he's doing a lot cooler stuff now because he's doing the way he wants to do it, and I don't think you can have it both ways. I don't think you can hate everything that WWE does and then get mad when they fire people. And I don't think you have the right to call WWE a prison and then be outraged when they let someone go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you get both. If you think WWE is a prison, then every single release is a moment to celebrate. And if you're not celebrating the releases, it's because you know it's not a prison. You know what I mean? So I will say that I don't think it's a prison. I am bummed by some of these releases. I'm excited by others because I think there's an excitement to that kind of fire that builds within somebody in those times. And I think some of these people are going to do their greatest work coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time, and it's crazy, and everyone's going to be okay. And I think everybody needs to calm down a little bit, have a drink or two.
Well, hey, Trey Baxter. Yeah, look at Trey Baxter. He's already going to do a GWC.
Yeah.
So they're fine. Yeah. You know? Yeah. I mean, I think that with Cross, I definitely know he's going to go to AEW and he's going to do his shit his way because they're going to let him. And it's a big fuck you to Vince and all of them.
It'll be cool.
This is what you could have had.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of dicking around. But
there's nothing wrong with that. I hope if he does show up on AEW, I hope that he continues to wear a leather mask of some kind.
Yeah.
Like a weird gladiator helmet like he was wearing. I hope he keeps doing that just to piss people off.
Yeah. Or he'd have some weird, I don't know, there's be something weird that he would have. But it's all driven on by him. Because that guy's got such a creative mind.
Oh yeah.
You know? Yeah.
So, Amanda, did you want to talk about AEW or NXT or anything?
Let's talk
you
a
said
little bit about AEW.
We can talk about AEW. Right before we do, though, I do want to shout out real quick. Flow State Coffee is the coffee that is the sponsor of our show. And Flow State Coffee is a specialty grade coffee with L-theanine and raw cacao for productivity and creativity. It gives you better energy, focus, and mood than a regular cup of coffee while decreasing the negative side effects like anxiety and high blood pressure. If you guys go to newwave.co, that's NOOWAVE.co, and put in the promo code CHEERS, you can get 10% off your first order, your first bag, and a subscription, because you can subscribe to get a new bag every week, every other week, every month, or every other month, and just keep it coming nonstop. Or you can just buy 30 bags now and get 10% off a whole 30 bags right away. You can do that. I think they also got shirts and mugs. Check it all out. Promo code CHEERS at newwave.co, NOOWAVE.co. So, if you want, we can talk about AEW. I know you said you didn't watch much of NXT, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, I actually I was it was on the background. Okay. But then I don't know what possessed me to turn up the volume, and there was somebody singing. I said, "Oh, fuck this!" I turned it off.
It was it Daniel? It wasn't Daniel Vidot. It was Zion and Robert Stone had this stupid karaoke singing dancing thing.
Well, then that's probably why I don't.
Oh, it was so awful. And I put my head down and I started like drawing on my iPad, and producer was all like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this." And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Ugh, they're doing this right now." I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, look what they're doing." And I was like, "I'm not going to look." Like, I don't want to see this. I like Zion. Okay. Like,
that's a person who should have been released because I don't understand him. Is
Robert Stone?
Robert Stone. Yeah. Like, give it up, dude.
He's really bad comedy. So
he's horrible.
Yeah, I didn't like that. There was a lot in this episode I didn't like, to be honest, of NXT. Mm-hmm. So we just run through some of that. But I did like LA Knight. I did like the women doing what they're doing. Mandy Rose, Toxic Attraction are killing it.
Oh, I love them. That's the only reason why I watch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Io Shirai came out and challenged Mandy Rose. That's going to be sick. Like, there's some cool stuff. But, I mean, the main event was fucking no good.
Yeah.
Oh, MSK had a really good promo that was like a video package where they're like at a bus stop and they're on their way to go see somebody to get advice. You never really figure out who they're going to go see, I don't think. And in there, Nash was all like, oh, yeah, he's the dude who came up with MSK and what it means. And Wes is like, oh, tell the story. And then a bus drives by. And at the end he goes, and it was brilliant, man. It was on the money. And Wes is all like, oh, I love that story. It gives such clarity to the name. And like, such
You're
a
like,
dick.
we didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
speaking
funny.
of Wesley,
so
it was
mean.
his birthday a couple days ago. So happy birthday.
Oh, that's true. Cheers and happy birthday to
Yeah.
Wesley.
Happy birthday, man.
Yeah. But those guys are so good.
Yeah.
I think they're too good for NXT. I think they should be on the main roster.
Yeah. I don't understand. Again, I mean, anyone who saw like maybe the first month of them being in NXT would, before people started booing, let's just say.
Yes.
Yeah, they would have been, well, why are these guys here? You know?
They're incredible.
Yeah.
So, 100%.
But again, we don't write this stuff, so
No, we don't. Let me see if I can just pull up real quick. I'm trying to think. I even watched it again today, and I can't think of anything else besides those two things that I liked.
Yeah.
Let me see.
But it's okay. Because you know what? Remember, I have not really liked anything on 2.0. Still don't.
I've liked a bunch of... Braun Breaker had a promo that was cool. Karrion Kross... Or not Karrion Kross. Ciampa and him went back and forth. It was done really well. But outside of that... Let's see. Dakota Kai had a match with Cora Jade, which was fun.
Oh,
Dakota Kai's a total badass. She's got her eye painted with an X now, all crazy like. And then, everything after that was Braun Breaker. So Andre Chase had a really terrible segment that Braun Breaker came out and kind of saved, and so that was kind of cool. Oh, Solo Sikoa had a match against Jeet Rama, which we talked about, but it was nice to see him out there doing his own thing. I'm so sick of this crowd already. They're already like trying to chant Uso for Solo Sikoa, and it's like, can you just be respectful of the man and not try to like show the world how smart you are? Like, just be respectful that this guy's trying to do his own thing and pave his own way, and let him.
Is it what's her face's parents that are commanding this boo?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, whatever.
But then that was it. Yeah, that was everything I liked in the show. And then there was other stuff that happened. But we go ahead and talk Dynamite. Sports Beard's coming through. Cheers and hello to Sports Beard, newest member of the team. If any of you haven't seen our new intro and want to see it, you can go to our Instagram at Wrestling on the Rocks and check it out.
Our new intro is badass.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I loved it.
I wanted to give us a new look.
Oh, yeah. I love it. Yeah. For us having an episode 1, it was totally legitly classy and awesome.
Yeah. Solid episode 1 intro.
Remember, I watched all, hour and a half, 3 hours, 4, 5, 6. So I watch pretty much almost 10 hours a week of AEW. But sometimes I don't want to, I'm not sitting there always focused because some of it's really crap or it's the same thing over and over again. With Dynamite, since you did watch, I'm going to start with something that really I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of Phil.
Yeah.
CM Punk to those people, but I call him Phil because you know what? He does not like that.
Yes.
And I don't like him. Team Cabana, as you see. So I think that it's interesting the angle he's going to do with Eddie Kingston. And I think it's good for Eddie because maybe it'll give him a little bit more legitness because he still is not recovered from the Sparkler incident or any of these weird things. He hasn't. And, I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Too. I hope that this kind of elevates him a little bit more. But other than that, yeah, no, I'm just sick of him. I'm sick of hearing Cult of Personality. I'm sick of everyone chanting CM Punk. I know you guys want to do that forever. And like everyone wearing his shirt in the crowd. It's getting old. Just like his shirt, the new one with the, well, they all look like that, but with the cross, taped hands.
Yeah.
That's like becoming, I think it's going to become the new Bullet Club shirt.
Kind of, it feels like it was like, yeah. I'm just not impressed by him. I even asked, I think I brought it up to somebody recently. I don't remember if it was on our show or not, but when I was out in Palm Springs a couple weeks ago for a wedding, I was with my brother, who's a big CM Punk fan, and he had found another guy he knew there who was watching wrestling and was talking about how much he loves watching wrestling. And as I was walking by, it was they were talking about AEW, and it turns out the guy was from Chicago and stopped watching wrestling when Punk left and is watching again because Punk is back. And I was like, oh, very cool. So you're a huge Punk fan. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, as someone who doesn't regularly watch AEW, can you tell me anything he's done since returning to AEW that has been impressive? Anything that me as a non-Punk fan would want to see so I get it. And so I'm on board and it's not just a novelty of him being back. Like, what has he done that's been impressive? And they both looked at me and they looked at each other and they both went, well, not like impressive. Nothing's like been impressive, but it's just cool that he's back. And I was like, okay, that's totally fine. But let's at least acknowledge that, because I think a lot of people are trying to pretend that he's changing up the whole thing, and he's just there, which I think to me is the unfortunate part, is because he could be so much more than just there. I wasn't impressed by his promo. It felt a little bit pandering and self-indulgent to me.
Everyone is. Every one of those is. And that's why I'm getting sick of it. So did these guys just like him because they're from Chicago?
Yeah, more or less.
Well, hello. You've got the other king of Chicago who actually, when they were training together, who was the better wrestler? Sure wasn't Punk. And I'm not saying this because, I'm Team Cabana. I'm saying this because it's true. You can go back in history. Can't really watch the ROH stuff, or I don't know. But speaking of which, did anyone bid? Do you know of?
On ROH's
on
stuff?
that,
I haven't heard about anything. But
library, yeah.
I imagine that's something that wouldn't just come out until it was bought, but I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, there's other people from Chicago who are great wrestlers, or at least from the area. Juice Robinson. Well, anyways, yeah, that's the only one I can think of offhand. But yeah, no, they like him just because he's from Chicago.
Yeah.
If you want someone who does impressive bull, guy behind me. I'm just saying. It's not because I'm number one fangirl. No.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't been impressed with what he was doing. I wasn't impressed by the thing. I mean, I get the sentiment is supposed to be like supportive of Moxley, but I don't get a genuine impression from him.
No.
I get a real pandering impression from him.
And
I'm not saying that he doesn't. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like, he can say all he wants that he is as honest and truthful as he feels he is, but I think it comes from a real sense of needing to be validated and a real sense of like narcissism in that way. Mm-hmm. That it's just, I mean, it's kind of like Jericho. There's nothing genuine about anything Jericho says. He's saying those things and he might believe it because he needs to be loved that way. Mm-hmm. I just don't get those genuine impressions of realness. It's very much like, I'm going to say this and let everyone know that I'm this way. It's like the same vanity tweets you see people do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Something happens to somebody and then they like tweet about it just so people can know. Like, I mean, it's not too far removed from like, remember during the Black Lives Matter movement where a lot of notable accounts were just posting like a black picture to say, I'm not providing content because we don't want to clutter the noise. And then people who hadn't tweeted or posted on Instagram in like a year and a half put up that one square real quick. And you're like, you haven't said anything at all in a year. You could have just kept saying nothing and had a similar, you just needed that vanity moment of look at me, be supportive. It's one thing when you're constantly in the conversation, right? tweeting 30, 40 times a day, and then to say, today I won't tweet because I want the platform free of static. And you go, oh, they're trying to do something. But it's another thing to be all like, is this still on? Hey guys, I'm not talking. You're like, what? Guys, just so you know, it's for a good cause. I'm not talking. All right, well, you weren't talking before. You know what I mean?
It's like, who are you? Okay.
Yeah.
What?
And I get that same sort of needing a validation from all of Punk's promos that I was like, okay. Like, it was cool. It's nice that he said it, but I almost wish someone else had said it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
it'd have been cooler if Darby said it, to be honest.
yeah, that would have been nice. But I asked the other straight edge person to make commentary about going to rehab. But anyways,
that's what I thought was weird too. I was like, he's been straight edge his whole life. Like,
yeah,
I don't get the impression. Yeah, but at least, I mean, Punk's story is that his stepfather like yelled at him and hit him as a kid. Darby's thing is his uncle died in a car crash that he was involved in because he was drunk driving. That's a little more of all like, yes, I know what it can do to a person. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Or it's because, remember back in the day, like, wasn't the Shield supposed to be with him at some point? Because he was really high on those three.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But I think the only thing that's going to happen right now with Punk that to me, I'll say it's going to say that it validates that he's here, but I just want to know who's going to beat you, who's going to be the golden child, to do it.
I don't know something.
Well,
Sports Beers in the chat saying he's no Kevin Nash and Razor Ramon. That's for sure. He was going on a whole thing last night about how Punk was trying to say that his return was bigger than Nash and Hall and WCW, and Eric Bischoff shot that shit down like a fucking duck. It was really cool. But yeah, I don't know. And then like you said, he's got this thing with Kingston, and he's just gonna beat Kingston, and it's like, I don't need Kingston to go out there and just lose every fucking week and then talk like he's a badass and then he get his ass handed to him every week. It's like he's got no fucking credibility, and that sucks because he's one of the most believable talkers in the business. You guys stripped him of everything that makes what he says mean something. And that
sucks. Did you notice? I don't know if you've noticed or anyone out there has noticed, but a lot of the good talkers are kind of silent now. Yeah. Kingston, Starks, who else? Their mouths are shut. So it's very interesting with that, which, I don't know. But Eddie, man, Tony Khan needs to do something really good for Eddie, because I'm sorry, Sparkler Gate. That was so shitty for him.
That was it.
Yeah,
that was the end of it. It's like, okay, well, how do they rebuild this? And then he cut a promo that was just not strong at all. And I was like, oh, they're not. They're just going to tell you, look over here. Don't look at that. Oh, yeah. Forget about it.
Also, at the same vein, is Malt should have gotten a lot of shit from fans because of that. Like, come on. He was just as responsible with that, because obviously, okay, we're going to have exploding barbed wire match. I mean, I'm sure he had to say yay or nay. So, I don't know. That's another one I'm tired. Well, now that I know he's away right now, and I understand that. And I'm trying not to say this I'm trying to be sensitive about that. But to people, this is going to sound unsensitive, but I'm really kind of glad that he's not going to be on TV for a while. Bitchy thing to say. You know what? At me if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. We talked about it recently too, that something seemed different about him. And we talked about it. That it seemed like maybe he was sort of calling it in, but just doing what he wanted to do, and he just seemed less important. Maybe this is all stemming from that. Maybe he was pulling back because of what was going on with himself. So I'll say I agree that I think it is a great thing he won't be on TV, and it's not because I don't want him on TV. It's because I think what he's doing is so much greater than being on TV. It's so much more important for him that it's like, yes, it'll be nice knowing that he's out there getting better. And I do wonder how much of what we've been seeing in the past year or so has all stemmed from his issues and what could have been or what was or what his struggles were and how that affected what we saw on screen or what ended up in his book or any of that stuff. Like, it does make you wonder, and it just makes you glad that he's getting that help. But he definitely was at a point in his character that getting a break one way or another is not bad, but at the same time, like, this is the best way to take a break is for actual genuine help, because it becomes an inspiration. We talked about it yesterday briefly, so I won't go into it, but me, Clump, and Kevlar in a group chat, and I posted the announcement of that. And Clump was absolutely moved by it. Kevlar thought it was absolutely incredible that he was strong enough to get that help. And I had made mention, I was like, there's a really good chance that on the other side of this, he becomes all of our hero. Like, in recovery, he could be a much better role model in so many different ways that I think is tremendous. I think it's a good thing. So yeah.
Well, I know you've not seen Roads to the Top.
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, there was one, it was the beginning of one of them, and you see Brandy, and she comes up to, to Marsh and say, oh, hey, John, and he was just done wrestling, and he's like, hey, and she goes, how you doing? And he goes, I'm hungover. I'm tired. I'm going to go right now and go vomit. I was like, oh, why are we keeping this in here? Because, that was kind of shocking. And then Brandy was like, okay. Yeah. I was like, poor guy. But he also has been, burning that midnight oil. I mean, he's everywhere. GCW. He's going to this promotion, that promotion, like hitting all the big indies. He's doing New Japan. That takes a toll on people too. I mean, if I had to do all that shit, I'd probably be drinking too. But that's just me. So I don't know. But I do hope that whatever happens with it, he finds something that he can, that'll help him along his journey. I mean, you don't go just once sometimes with people. Sometimes it's one and done and it's cool, but just at least he can find something. And he's got a really supportive wife, so he's lucky in that sense too. Yeah,
I think that he's got a good community too, and I think that even from what we hear, a lot of the guys and girls in wrestling nowadays are sober for the most part. So he could potentially have a really good support system of people he can be around safely and not to worry about. So I think there's a lot of good on the other side of it for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I also think too that I know a lot of the old timers always say, oh, these kids nowadays, the most important thing for them to do after the match is they all want to go play video games or whatnot. Like none of them drink and etc. Well, some do, some don't. But at the end of the day, it's a different era, brother. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't right now. AEW is kind of pissing me off because I know you and I kind of touched on it like earlier, but it's becoming WWE light. A lot of these matches. Yeah. Because I was going to ask you, because I don't watch main roster product. Did we see Rusev versus, Daniel Bryan at any point?
I feel like we definitely have, but nothing comes to mind, so I'm going to pull it up right now.
Okay. Because some of these things, it's like, come on, really? Are you kidding me? And of course, with WWE people, obviously, hello, Alistair Black. And
2018, they had a few.
Okay, see? It happened.
Because there was even a rivalry that involved Daniel Bryan and AJ versus Rusev and Aiden English.
Got it. Okay. See?
So we had a few.
That's what I'm saying, people. Not that it's a bad thing, but you know what? If you're striving to be different and not like the guy, this is Tony Khan. then you got to stop booking this shit. That's all. All I know, because you've got now.
You know what could make it better? It looks like the match that happened specifically with them one-on-one was a Money in the Bank qualifying match. So there was no real story going into it. So this could be better. Well, I mean, there's no real story going into this. It's still a tournament match.
It's the same.
Yeah,
with
same
the
thing.
All he did was replace Mox.
Money in the.
But again,
Yeah.
that would still have been two WWE, ex-WWE people who probably have crossed paths. Now that I don't know, Marsh is doing research right now. But again, that's, one right there. I mean, it's getting old and it's also getting old because of the fact that you're not using that really strong mid-card you have. Because, I don't need to see Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt, on Dark Elevation, Dark, Dynamite, Rampage.
Yeah.
Share the wealth. But that's all I'm saying.
It looks like they've only had one-on-one match. Maybe that's why this is happening. Is maybe because in all their years in the same company, they only had one match together and they always wanted to do more. Maybe that's why this is happening, because for one, they'll feel safe around each other. They'll feel good around each other. And then also, it was also the one that got away in a lot of ways. They had a one and done. So I think that Daniel Bryan's being a little bit picky about who he's wrestling, and I think he should. And I think that Rusev maybe was all like, hey man, we only did the once. And
well, he had that ridiculous, when he came aboard, the best man. That was ridiculous.
It was awful.
He's got to redeem himself. And, but the other thing too with it is that I think with these newer signees, and I'm not lumping Black into this, but with having Danielson and with having Punk and things like that, they get to cherry pick, and it's kind of interesting because at Punk, I'm like, yo, dude, you haven't wrestled in a couple weeks, and your thing is getting stale. I don't like you to talk anymore. It's like, put your money where your mouth is. You came back, I think, to wrestle. Did he not? Or am I wrong? I don't know. But there's, like I said, there's a whole great mid-card out there that they don't even touch. And it's great for them because they're getting paid. But at the same time, this is what they do. I mean, they wrestle. That's their occupation,
Yeah.
Professional wrestler,
In the chat, Jeremy is saying something here. He says, it's funny how people on social media are acting like Miro versus Danielson would be any better than Rusev versus Daniel Bryan was. They think since it's AEW, it'll be better involving the same people, just different names. I think that there's a misguided truth to it because, well, like we found out, it was one match in 2018. This is 3 years later, and they're both performing on higher levels than they were then. I mean, can you say that about Daniel Bryan? He's been kind of on the highest level for a real long time. And to be honest, he was wrestling against Rusev during Rusev Day. And Rusev's back to crush Rusev now. Miro is crush Miro, but with a weird religious aspect to it. Because he's gotten away from the goofy shit. Which was really funny on Jim Ross's podcast. He talked about how much he liked what Rusev's doing now and said they tried the silly stuff and it just didn't work, so I'm glad they're doing this. And I thought it was funny because I was like, well, what they're doing is really close to what he was doing in WWE when it was working, and then going further away from what apparently he wanted to be. But regardless, I think there is a truth to just the idea that they're both 3 years older in wrestling, so it should be better. If it's not better, then that's bad for them. Because if you 3 years later can't put on a better match than you had 3 years ago, that's bad. Right? Everyone who does their job, no matter what the job is, should be better 3 years down the line. So I'll say that it should be better, but it also should be better if it was still in WWE. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
But I guess we'll see. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, but then who are we?
Who are we? I don't know.
Yeah, who are we? We're just people who watch this.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just like you and me.
That's a good point. I had Dynamite playing today, and I had a real hard time like staying focused on it and watching it. I kept like looking up and seeing stuff.
ADD. Yeah.
The Young Bucks are so bad at this.
You know, they need to stop this shit. You know,
they're worse than Christian Bale doing Batman voice.
I know.
He does such a fake voice that it's stupid. Look, I'm a pro wrestler now, so this is kind of how I talk as a pro wrestler. Like, you don't talk like that. Because you also hear fucking Nick Jackson in other interviews where he's just like, oh, yeah, hey, what's going on? And then they put a fucking mic, you don't have a raspy voice, dude. You sound like an idiot.
I know.
It's so bad and so forced, dude.
It's horribly bad. Kenny Omega right now, man, what an embarrassment. This is a man that went toe-to-toe with Okada, twice?
3 times.
For 60 minutes? And this is what we get? Are you kidding me? How embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for him. Sorry. If you like, AEW Omega right now, you must be smoking some crack, or you're hallucinating, or tell me what it is, why you enjoy this, because there's nothing enjoyable about it at all. And it was funny because Halloween the week before, when they were all dressed up, Colt was doing Brandon Cutler, and I thought it was hilarious. And it's like all the guy is doing is walking around in a tracksuit with his little mask, whatever on, and spraying Colt spray. So I think that was Colt's tongue in cheek to say that's kind of stupid, but
Yeah, I think also so it opened the show with Kenny, and as he's like walking out, I was kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I'll see who he's up against. And then it was up against some random Dark Order guy, and I was like, ugh.
It's Johnny Hungy, wasn't it?
No, it was
Silver?
no, it wasn't
10?
Silver. It was Alan Angel or something.
Alan Angel. Okay, 5.
I don't know. I just didn't care. So I barely watched it. I was kind of in and out of the room. I started like doing stuff. I was like, maybe it'll catch my attention. I'd watch a couple seconds and be like, nah, definitely not. And I'll start doing other things. Like, I was not drawn in by any of it. And then he grabbed the mic and started talking stuff at the end, and I thought he sounded bad. Like, it was just weird. Like, I don't know. I think it's also weird that the most compelling stuff on AEW is not anything near their world champion. Let's see. Yeah. Micah is coming through the chat saying, I'm just waking up to all this news. How are you, Mr. Marsh? Micah, you missed it. We opened up with all the news. We went through line by line. The fun part was that Miss Amanda Jane had not been on Twitter at all and had no idea of any of the news. Nope. So she heard it live as we went, and we kind of broke down all of the releases. But I think the good news is this, Micah, as I'm talking. If you guys want to derail the show, you can go to twitch.tv/wrestling on the rocks and derail us. The good news, Micah, is that nearly everyone on that list is going to be just fine. They're going to be fine. A lot of them, it's exciting to see them released back into the wild. They were having struggles. It's always crazy and it's always a bummer, but you got to remember that they were doing it before they got here. They're going to do it after they got here. This was just another step down the line. And I don't know how many jobs you've had, but I have had quite a few jobs in the same field. So sometimes not being with a company anymore can be the best part. But I think everything's going to be just fine. So if you want to hear a whole breakdown of the whole releases, though, you'd have to go back in time a little bit on that.
Yeah.
We'll release that later tonight. So was there anything on here that you particularly did like? Because I had a hard time with it.
Lately it's been tough to watch. Yeah, I get that. When they were in Miami, there were people that were on the boat and people that, were not on the boat. Which is funny because they could have utilized some of those ones who weren't out there on the boat. But I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. So I think now knowing that they're really gonna push Hangman Kenny, that's telling me Hangman's getting the belt next. And they should have done it a long time ago.
Yes, he should have been the first champion.
Everybody's wanting this. And I mean, you know, he's just so damn good. I mean, I remember when I first started seeing him on ROH, and it was like, I don't know, this guy, but he got so damn good. Like, and I'm not saying because, you know, he was associated with the elite that he was good. No, he was getting great. And I've said it before. I know I said it before on episode 1, is that he, you know, like if he stayed in ROH with Marty, he would have been ROH champion. I mean, he's that damn good. So, you know, we got to forget this whole drunken dude. And it's funny because did you all know that he actually doesn't drink? He's not straight edge, but he does not drink. Yeah. That's why I thought this whole thing was ridiculous. But yeah, so I don't know, that was exciting to me. I mean, honestly, like, you know, the whole men of the year and, you know, inner circle jerk.
Yeah.
Boring. Stupid.
That whole segment was terrible, and I didn't need Jericho trying to demean like sex workers and stuff, because that's a pretty tough racket as it is, who get a lot of shit on anyways. And I didn't need Jericho of all people to try and belittle Paige Van Zant by her having an OnlyFans and try to make jokes about the inner circle gang banging her. I didn't think that was necessary to get the story over at all.
No, it was actually kind of disgusting, if you ask me. But you know,
and he's supposed to be the babyface.
Yeah. Well, what I also got out of this thing too, I guess the only positive about that particular segment, I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed that it didn't sound very loud as far as people singing Judas. So I think people are also getting sick of that.
Of Judas?
Yeah, singing along to it. Because I will tell you, on the boat, I'd say a good 50% didn't know the lyrics.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
There was less than 1% who did not sing along. Me, I'm part of that, less than 1%. But yeah, it's getting too much. I'm like, well, I was bored of it like a month after it was cute. But then it's like, come on, really? Do we have to do this every time? And I think because it was only the wrestlers back in Jacksonville at the time, it made it stupid after a while. So I was already sold. I don't like this. So
yeah, I wasn't.
But if you like people singing Judas along with it, hey, different strokes for different folks. But no, it's getting old.
It's been pandering for a while too. Sports Beers in the chat, he says, you know who shouldn't drink? Henry Ruggs III. It's probably a sports thing. It's probably hockey. It's probably talking about hockey.
Is that hockey? Really? I don't know who that is.
It's probably hockey. He talks hockey. The dude's a hockey guy.
What team then? I don't know.
He likes the Capitals.
Oh. Yeah. I'm not. No. The only East Coast team that I love is I've always, because my father was God rest his soul, was a Rangers fan. I know out in California, people watched hockey then. Yes, it was on USA Network. And I always, that was like father-daughter time. We would watch hockey. Yeah. But the only team on the East that's my team, goddamn New Jersey Devils. And it used to piss my dad off. But hey, it happens. We didn't have a team until, what was it, 1991? Yeah. No.
Well, I just scrolled through the rest of the show there, and there was nothing else that happened in the show that I was all that thrilled with or excited about.
No.
I thought it was funny that Christian fucking murdered Adam Cole.
Last night? No, maybe I wasn't watching that. I don't know.
Well, like, because the Elite came out, like Young Bucks and Adam Page, and then Christian with Luchasaurus and somebody else. It was hard for me to see. They did the concerto to Adam Cole, and Adam Cole sat there twitching a lifeless body like he was murdered, and I was all like, well, at least he's fucking sticking to it, man. He's
well,
in
you
it.
know what? If you've watched the, if you go back to being the Elite, this was the best times of being the Elite when they killed Adam Cole. He's a great person to kill because he just method. I will say that.
Wouldn't it be great if they just made him like the BTE Kenny, and every time the anybody in the Elite gets attacked, he's always the one who gets just left there laying, and he's just like oh my God, you killed Adam Cole, you bastards, like South Park.
No,
that'd be great. Kill him every week.
They didn't do that to Kenny, or maybe it was later episodes that I didn't watch.
Kenny from South Park, not Kenny Omega.
Oh, I thought you meant Kenny Omega. Sorry.
Oh my God. Let's see. Sports Beard saying, no, it's an NFL player from the Raiders. He killed a lady in a DUI like 2 days ago. He was 2 times over the legal limit. Oh, I did hear about that. I did hear about that. I didn't catch the name, though. And he goes, tell Amanda I was at the bar when Scott Gomez brought in the Stanley Cup for the New Jersey Devils. It was awesome.
I love Scott Gomez. Oh, my God. See, I will not take a picture with the Stanley Cup until the Sharks do, but you know what? It's been like goddamn a long time, so I'm going to have to just bite the bullet and take a picture with the Stanley Cup. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think the Kraken are going to win one before us. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, but
and then Micah said, "Marsh, do you have any idea what John Silver was saying?" No, I watched his entire promo and couldn't figure out one fucking thing he was saying at all. I have no idea what he was talking about. No. I even saw here in the little recap where it says that he talked about his upcoming match with Adam Cole. I had no idea that was even close to what he was talking about.
Yeah,
I have no idea what he was talking about. Is there a reason I should have known? Or did he cut a promo that was like based off other stuff? Did you understand what he was talking about, Amanda?
No, it was like gibberish. But, like I said before, they're letting people have a microphone that really shouldn't have a microphone.
No, there's Actually, it's funny you say that because producer lady was here and she was putting away groceries and stuff. And she's listening to him and she just starts laughing. And she goes, is anyone there capable of cutting a good promo? Can anyone sound like a person? And I was all like, wow.
Yes. Yes, come on.
People can, but that was what she was hearing. And most of the time she comes in, she's hearing these promos that are just like fucking off the wall. And so like, it's funny that she's hearing John Silver and says, does anyone there sound normal? And I was like, yeah, other people do. He doesn't. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, they don't give them the microphone.
No.
That's the thing. The ones that are a little bit more, who can cut a good promo, they don't give them a microphone. When does Colt get a microphone and do a promo?
Well, he's terrible, but Ricky Starks is good.
Colt's not terrible, but yes, Ricky. The only thing, here's one thing about Ricky, is now that he is doing commentary on Rampage, well, thank goodness it's only an hour. But of course, Jericho's on it too. So, of course, we know how Jericho is. So, sometimes, like, Ricky has some great one-liners. And sometimes I'm like, dude, just don't talk. Okay? No. You're looking stupid in the streets right here. And a lot of people don't like him on commentary. They want him to go away. But, I mean, if you're not going to use him and you're going to waste the mic skills, I understand that. But still, I mean, it's hard because you have Jericho all and kind of yelling when he talks. Like he's like really like hyped up and excited about stupid things. And it's hard to watch. But yeah, Ricky, I think, is probably the man to do promos. I think so.
Yeah.
Tom's is getting good though, but I think that's Ricky's influence. And then I don't know about you, but I'm sorry. I really now do have a deep appreciation for the Acclaimed. I did not like them at first, but I really kind of do now. Don't know why. But but he does need to, Max Caster needs to stop that yo in the beginning. Come on, dude. Can we start it off with something different?
It's funny. Lunar says, I get the feeling this might be a biased opinion. I love it.
It is not a biased opinion. It is not. Did you see his work in NWA? No. Tell me. I was saying, because there's a lot.
Okay. Micah does say, Budge is what he calls Cole on BTE. It's a problem that BTE is infiltrating real shows. I don't think it's ever not infiltrated in some respects. I will say that there's a lot of stuff I've not understood watching Dynamite and been told it's a BTE thing. And at different times I've heard people say, well, they're going away from BTE. And like you're pointing out here, this was a direct BTE promo on Dynamite without BTE backstory. So I think they just don't know where to draw the line or how to draw the line. And that's been one of my, it's my complaint about about AEW largely is, it's the reason that Sports Beard who's in the chat doesn't watch it at all, is that if you can't watch all of it, you're not going to understand most of it.
Yeah,
and it's one of the reasons why I still stand up for the brand split in WWE. Because realistically, if you only watch Raw every week, you're fine. You understand all your characters and all their stories. If you only watch SmackDown every week, you're fine. You'll understand all their stories and all their characters. And if you watch the pay-per-views, then half the matches you know why they're fighting, and the other half you get a video promo and you'll be fine. You don't have to watch everything in WWE to know what's going on. I have friends who only watch the pay-per-views because the video packages does the job. But I've got friends who can't watch AEW because they can't invest 12 hours a week to know what's happening. Because like this, you said, BTE's infiltrated to the point where an entire promo happens and it sounds like gibberish, and it's like, well, if you watched every YouTube episode, you'd know. And you go, well, fuck.
Yeah, they've given that to the Dark Order now, it seems. But, I don't know. But originally, when AEW did start, that core little group of Hangman and Kenny and the Bucks, there was a lot of things off, and Cody. There are a lot of things that it fed off of. Now it's like, come on, dudes. I think that that whole trio needs to take a break, take a rest. Because, honestly, you know what? One thing kind of surprised me that I'm actually a little bit more invested in right now is FTR and the Lucha Brothers. I will say that's a good one. And I know we're going into a pay-per-view this weekend. I believe it's Full Gear this weekend, I think. I don't know.
It's coming up. I don't know when it is.
Or maybe it's the week after. I don't know. But it's hard sometimes to be invested in some of these things because honestly, I know majority of these guys are capable of good wrestling, and it ain't happening. So I don't know. Sometimes I get a little bored and ADD, and I'm like, it's too much. But again, it's the same people doing the same things over and over again. And there needs to be variety. Because if you want people to watch this and not walk away, or even the people who don't watch this and, don't have the time to commit to the umpteen hours of AEW that I watch, just too much sometimes. But I will say, if you put variety around, that actually might get more interest in your product. Because if you can't watch Dynamite, hey, but I can watch Dark, or I can watch Rampage, but I can't, I don't have time to watch everything else. If you're putting different people in the mix, because their storylines now are just kind of muddled and weird. So I don't know what happened with that, but I think that now that's what they need to do. If they want to build their fan base, they need to mix it up. And now with release day today, and of course what happened to ROH, Tony's sitting there with dad's checkbook, ooh, who am I going to sign? 9 days,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Lunar says, to be honest, I just watch WWE pay-per-views mainly. Yeah, that's what I mean. And I'm sure you get it. I'm sure when you're watching, you understand where we're at, where we're coming from, what's happening. You can watch it and enjoy it. With AEW, they put a lot of stuff in there that's just a little much. I feel like a lot of the companies are trying to do that, though. How much content can they put out? And it also makes you wonder with some of the stuff that WWE's doing, if they're trying to reduce content on a level. You know what I mean? Because even if you look at ever since Peacock, they've had very little documentaries come out. And it used to be a documentary a week. Like, I feel like there's something happening.
Not working for them anymore.
He didn't do all of them. Or even the A&E ones. He didn't do a majority of them. He did a few of them. And then the other thing was even A&E. A&E, they were doing them, and they didn't even... They paused them because they were doing the Icon series. It was like... was Icon. It had 3 episodes. It was supposed to be like 5 or 6, and they even advertised for the next one. And it was supposed to drop like the day of or day after Peacock, and then it just didn't happen. So I wonder. I don't know. I just wonder.
Yeah.
And I wonder if part of it is like, because there was a while before AEW, when you think about it, WWE was in a content farm. They just kept making more and more stuff, and it felt like, I wonder, it felt like that because they would even talk about it in their calls, that their investor calls, that the wrestling fan is starved for content. They always want more content the better. And I feel like there's so much wrestling content out there now that WWE's kind of pulling back on it and being like, well, if people want to watch wrestling every day, they can. So maybe we should not overlap that shit as much anymore. And I don't know for good or bad or what reason or any of that, but it just feels like WWE's pulling back on content while other companies are putting the gas on for more content. I don't know what that means. I don't know who wins in that, but I don't know. But
yeah.
It is what it is. I'm not loving everything in NXT right now. I'm definitely not loving everything in AEW right now. But I love SmackDown and Raw lately. I'll tell you, Raw was really easy to watch the last couple of weeks. I think the draft has been a really good thing. But we'll see. Maybe everyone will be fired by next week. I don't know, man. It's crazy. We're living in crazy times.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, people are already talking about, when Steen and Kyle O'Reilly get released, they're going to go to AEW. Oh, we're going to have Mount Rushmore again. We're going to have this. We're going to have that. Like, calm down. Okay, calm down. What if they don't? The only person I really would love to see come back to AEW, because he's been gone a long time, is El Generico. And that would work so well with Fuego del Sol. I think that would be fucking gold.
I hate you.
But, I don't...
Fuego del Sol? Why do you want Generico with a jobber? Come on.
No, but it would be kind of like a little bit of comic relief, but then maybe, El Generico can teach Fuego del Sol how to wrestle and maybe win one once in a while.
Maybe they could win one once in a while.
Yeah.
In the chat, Sports Beard does say oversaturated market. I think that there's a realness to that. I think WWE acknowledges that, and I think that I really think part of what they're doing is they're flushing out the indie stuff, because I think that AEW has the lock on being the national, local wrestling indie scene. And I think they're trying to stand out. WWE's always stood out one way or another. If they're going to have higher production, they're going to have higher production by God on everything. And NXT before was really low production. So now NXT 2.0 is high production. I think they're trying to stand out by not oversaturating the market with constant content. I think that we probably will see them lean back on nostalgia on their documentaries as that kicks back up whenever it does. But at the same time, AEW tries to do a lot of nostalgia-based things too, even though they're a young company. I think... I don't know. I wonder if their business model has to do with how do we stand out in a world where there now is wrestling content every single day. Where do we stand out now, and how do we go even further with that? We're very good at production. No one beats our production by a mile. Maybe we do more of that and more focused on that and less constant on that. So that way, if you like it, it's special when you see it. And if you want that other indie stuff, it's fucking every day of the week, pal. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't run businesses. I don't run corporations. I don't even really run this show effectively. We've been on episode 1 for... Yeah, that's why we're on episode 1. We've been doing episode 1 for fucking 2 years and change. What was it? Bishop asked because our Twitter anniversary was 2 years just a couple of days ago. But we didn't have an official Twitter account for a while because I was doing it all through my personal like Ref Marsh stuff. And running the Facebook and the Instagram and my own Twitter and the website and trying to get the YouTube and the Twitch going, it was just like one more thing I didn't need to try and do. So producer lady took it up after a certain amount of time. I don't remember when that was, but I think it was right after WrestleMania 35, where our first episode 1 was like the day before WrestleMania 35. So we're a little over 2 years.
Where was WrestleMania 35?
New York. That was the one with New York with Becky, Ronda. Because I remember we had like a pre-show to it that was kind of a pilot trial to see if we get things to stream right. And then afterwards we had a review of it where I remember just talking about what a goddamn love letter this WrestleMania was to the fans. It was Kofi Mania. It was Becky, Ronda. It was so much of everything that it was great. It was great. But yeah, that's how long we've been doing episode 1. So, if you're listening and thinking about doing an episode 1, just fucking do it. Just do an episode 1. I've seen a few people online be like, I'm just trying to manifest it. I want to do a podcast. And I'm like, stop fucking talking about it. Just do it. Just do it, because you never know. In 2.5 years, you might still be on episode 1 if you're consistent. You just never know. Amanda, is there anything else this week that you thought that we missed?
No, I just really, the sound of that dude's voice, what is it? Dan, whatever.
Danhausen?
No, not Danhausen. No, the guy that's out there with Men of the Year and.
Dan Lambert.
Dan Lambert. His voice is like killing my ears.
It was
that
bad.
Needs to end soon, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was rough.
Because Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page deserve better than what they're getting right now.
God, I think Scorpio Sky could be the biggest star in all of AEW.
You know what? They screwed up. Him and Hangman were the two that I was like, these guys are gonna shine.
Yep. I remember watching Double or Nothing, and those two dudes, I was like, holy shit, Hangman Page to be the first champion. Mm-hmm. And Scorpio Sky, I said, he could be AEW's Rock. He's got so much charisma, and he's good in the ring. That's
another good person on the mic.
Yeah, he was so good on the mic, and they've just found every way to make him uncomfortable and make it look like he's struggling forever, that people have lost faith in him. And I think it sucks, man. I thought Scorpio Sky was the dude. He was my number 1. But, it is what it is. We'll see where it goes. We'll be back next week on a brand new episode 1 to talk about what happened this coming up week. We'll see. I don't know when Full Gear is. Do you?
Well, I thought it was this Saturday.
It
but
might be.
I could be wrong.
See if there's a...
I don't know. I mean, tomorrow's Rampage.
The only match I want to see on Full Gear so far is Daniel Bryan and Rusev.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. November 13th. So not this weekend, next weekend.
Oh, next weekend. Oh, sorry, guys. Guys.
But yeah, right now that's the only one I want to see. Daniel Bryan and Rusev. That's it.
What? Wait, where did you see the matches? See, this is where I don't care, and I don't.
Let me see. I'll give you.
I don't look.
We'll see if it has.
Let me see here.
Right now we have Daniel Bryan and Miro. We have Kenny Omega versus Hangman. Britt Baker versus Tay Conti. Inner Circle versus Dan Lambert. Lucha Bros versus FTR.
That would be good.
And Darby versus MJF.
No, thank you.
I'm not interested in any of those but Daniel Bryan and Miro. 100%.
But I'm kind of interested to see FTR and Lucha Brothers, just because when they've come out, it's just, I think that there's a potential for some really great chemistry in the ring. That's why it kind of is exciting to me.
Haven't they wrestled twice? That's how they got the AAA titles, is they won them off of them.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't shown in the States, right?
Yeah, it was.
Was it on AEW?
It was on like a Dynamite or a Rampage or something. And I remember watching the match and thinking like, yeah, it was decent for. It was an okay FTR match. It was pretty. It was pretty good for a Lucha Bros match. But at the same time, it's like, I haven't been a big fan of the Lucha Bros stuff. They look like they're just in there dancing. Like, I'm not into most of these things. So maybe I'll watch the one and see how it goes, and I don't know.
So it's on what, Sunday? It's a Sunday.
Yep, next Sunday.
Yeah, they're the first one in a while. It's been on the Sunday.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. It's not. This is one the only reason why I would watch Hangman and Kenny is because I want to see Hangman get that fucking belt.
I'll be honest, I'm not going to even try and watch that match until I know how it ends. And if Paige doesn't win it, I'm not watching it at all. And if Paige does win it, I might watch part of it.
I will give you updates as I watch it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
let me know.
You know, if it's looking like it, like, yeah, this is what to watch. No, don't. Because honestly, like Britt Baker and Kai Conti, that does not interest me. No. At all.
No.
At all.
But I've been so underwhelmed by every single Kenny Omega match I've ever seen that I am not drawn to watch a match of his, especially if I think there's any chance he's going to beat the other person. And I think there's a really good chance Paige does not win here. But I also think it might be the time that they put it on him. But then the weird thing that's going to happen if they put it on Paige, this is why I think it could be weird, is it would feel like a weird placeholder because there's so much bigger star power everywhere else in the roster. Paige seems like such a lesser than person because of the way they've been building him at this point. He's a fan favorite, but for no reason.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that, you know, first of all, you know, not Paige's fault that they're bringing all these people in. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, I think that most people I don't want Bryan Danielson to have the belt. No. Dude, you've had such really great acclaim all over. You know, you should be, you know, helping to elevate some of these guys that they don't, show. You don't need a damn belt. You don't need a damn belt.
But if you have a bunch of people in the company that are bigger than the belt, then the belt means less.
Yep.
And if you have CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and even Kenny Omega and Moxley and Jericho and MJF and Sting, who are all supposed... MJF, he's not anywhere near the world title. But people say all the time he doesn't need a title, right? I think he should have the title at some point.
He's got that ring.
That's what I mean. But if you have a bunch of these guys in the roster who are supposedly bigger than the belt and don't need the belt and they're still in attraction without the belt, then what the fuck is the point of the belt? You know what I mean? It's your world championship. It should mean everything. And it should be on the person who is the most important to the company, and it should be the one match that everyone wants to see. And right now we just went through that card. Yeah. And it's one of the matches that I have no desire to see. I want to see a qualifier match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I also think, too, that when you give all these EVPs the belt, you know, it's like, you know, I thought you wanted to be different. Mm-hmm. Okay. Was this just some way that, you know, someone can feel really good and have a belt? Because, hey, I'm an EVP. I can have a belt. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to me. Because, let me tell you, one person I want to see wrestle, haven't seen wrestle in a while, is Nick Camarado. Man, he's good. He's good. But they have been doing jokey shit with QT Marshall and Aaron Solo. You know? Yeah. I mean, Tony at this point, you know, since he also isn't using FTW, you know, at this point, it's like, just put fucking Starks and Solo back together. Put Extra Talented back together. You know? Throw a dog a bone. You know? Because they were great together. So, I don't know. I just watch.
We just watch. Well.
Yeah, but I still believe, and I'll say this till I die or it happens, that Punk is going to lose to Colt Cabana. I honestly feel this way. And it's not because Colt fangirl. No, it's because, you know what? There's nobody on that roster that has as much animosity with that guy, except for Colt. And when he did say He has scores to settle with people in the back. That's the biggest one.
Do you think even their fan base knows that even? Realistically, it happened fucking 10 years ago. How much of their fan base really even knows it? Most of their fan base has only been watching wrestling for 2 years.
I think it's because it's CM Punk, right? And I'm sure everyone on the internet is, I told myself, if they do it and all these like noobs who, like wrestling and whatnot, I'm not going to go and correct them every day, because I would probably, I'd go insane. You'd have to commit me to a mental asylum, trying to explain to people, because you know what, like same with Marty's girl, I can't do it anymore, but I think that with Punk, I think most people who have watched him, even later people, because it's on YouTube, I'm sure that people heard that episode. I'm sure, even if you're a noob. And
I never heard it. I read about it a little bit and never even went back to it. No point. Okay. Didn't matter to me. Yeah, no, it was two people I didn't give a shit about. That's what I mean. Was Colt Cabana someone that anyone gave a shit about up until recently with the Dark Order?
Me.
You.
2021. Okay.
That's what I mean. But I'm saying like the fan base at large. He's got fans. They know who he is. But how many people? Well, I mean, I guess he was like the Podfather, right? But I think that unless you were in it at the time, that a lot of people didn't go back. I don't know that there's as much meat on the bone for Colt versus CM Punk for the larger audience as there is for a smaller side of the audience. And I think the small side that wants it really bad. I think the larger audience just goes, yeah, I guess that'd be cool.
No. On the boat this time, because I've been on the boat twice when he was on the Jericho cruise. Mm-hmm. First time, didn't have a lot of people around when he did his podcast. He did, because he did it like on the last night and everyone was drinking heavily and whatever. And he did before Marty karaoke. So I mean that was a draw, but his other stuff, hardly anyone was there. The first one. This one, he did his unprofessional wrestling show, which is basically they look at bad wrestling clips and they make jokes about them. Yeah. Really funny. That was packed in there. I mean, I was shocked. I mean, it had at least 80% of that theater was packed, and I was shocked. I'm like, And his podcast, because I went to a little late, it was full. There were no seats. People were standing everywhere. I mean, the first, I was like, wow, this is kind of cool, and I personally was like, hey, he's still some stroke in his game, right? And most people who did like talk to him or whatever, most of them, they really weren't talking about the Dark Order, because some of them were like, well, when are you going to get to do you? Because it's refreshing when he comes out now, like when you hear his old Boom Boom Colt Cabana theme.
All right.
I missed that.
Hey, I'm going to throw this out here because it's more relevant. I'm seeing there's rumors online coming from some random sources, including the New York Post, which the New York Post is the dirt sheet of news. But they're saying that Nia Jax was released because she's unvaccinated. And I'm seeing a thread of people talking about how the belief is that Karrion Kross, Scarlet, Eva Marie, and Nia were all let go of because they were unvaccinated.
I don't think about Kross and Scarlet. No,
I think they're right wing for sure.
Oh, I know he is.
Yeah,
but I don't think it was really because of that. It was because when they brought him up to the roster, didn't know what to do with him. His run with NXT was really short. And when I
guess it could also be the idea that they let these people go and then they also happen to be unvaccinated. So, I mean, there's always that. But at the same time, I could understand why they would say, hey, we're traveling full time now. We're all over. Some of these venues require vaccination. We can't book we can't book based off of who's going to be able to let into the building week after week.
Oh, yeah, totally. Just,
Bishop says not all unvaxxed are right wing. Correct, but right wing do push unvaccination, which is what I'm saying. It would be believable that someone who is right wing could be unvaccinated because they sway that way in their media outlets.
okay. Well,
Not to say that I got a buddy who's a real big liberal, but super conspiracy theorist, refuse to get vaxxed. So I mean, it's out there. I'm saying, is it believable that these people are unvaxxed and that's why they're getting released? It could be a factor. I would understand if they're all like, hey, half of these buildings you can't go in and I can't book you every third week because you just won't do the thing. I could see that.
I don't know. Well, like at least I know believe, because this is something I had heard and I'm not 100% sure it's true. Didn't come from a dirt sheet. I think it came from Tony Khan's mouth, if I'm not mistaken, is that everybody on that roster and who works for them had to be vaccinated or else can't work for them.
At AEW?
But I don't know if I can't remember if that's true or not, because Tony Khan sometimes is like on crack, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I thought Jericho was openly not going to do it, but maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Well, you know what? He wouldn't have been on his cruise because everybody, all the talent too, had to take a COVID test 72 hours before the ship would sail. And once we were there, we had to take a rapid test, and they were so unorganized. So they all had to do it too. I know that every single person had to do it. And you also had to show proof of vaccination. So he wouldn't have been on that cruise because it's more of NCL. It's not like, oh, he can control that. No, this is because that could be a huge liability. Like, oh, you let this guy on that, wasn't vaccinated. What the hell? And I got COVID, because it's a petri dish on the water. No.
Yeah, that's true.
So, so I think he did. He had to have. There's no way.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Or maybe it's cool to say that I won't do it and you actually secretly do it. That's a lot of people.
Oh, that's true too. There's both sides of it. Bishop's in the chat though he does say I have that buddy too, and he goes, me and the missus both got hit with mandates or release this week by different employers. Yeah, I've seen a few companies, and you know what? Some of the bigger companies started the precedent. So there's a number of companies that they set that precedent. If you're not vaccinated, they're allowed to release you because they can see you as a safety threat to the rest of their employees. It is what it is, man. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not saying, like I said, not all unvaxxed are right wing, but seeing someone who is right wing being unvaccinated is not a surprise. So, but yeah,
my brother
wonder.
Refuses, and he's nowhere near the right wing.
Yeah, it's just some people are refusing it for whatever reason. But it is interesting to think that there's a possibility that we look at the releases and there could be a chunk of them that were released due to that. And, I mean, that could add clarity to it. It definitely would seem a lot less like, woe is me about it all. If it's all like, well, you could have and you decided not to, and this is the ramifications for that. You know what I mean?
It'll be interesting when they can talk.
Yeah. Or if they try to martyr themselves about it the way Drake Wirtz did. Remember? I was let go by this evil corporation who was overstepping their bounds and demanding I be COVID tested, and it was crazy.
Wasn't he a former neo-Nazi, though?
Well, there's rumors of ties and things. And, but I'm just saying, like, it'd be interesting on the other side of this if we see a big tirade about it. Otherwise, it could just be a bunch of bullshit people are spouting because the New York Post does that shit sometimes. So it is interesting. It is weird. It would add some form of clarity to some of these releases that we just don't understand. But maybe we'll just never understand. That's also a possibility there.
Total possibility.
Amanda, I think I'm ready for last call.
I am too.
Let's get it done. Guys, we appreciate you coming through and having a drink with your drinking buddies right here in the dive bar of the IWC. We will be back next Wednesday for a brand new episode 1 where me and Kevlar from the Ironics are joined by Sportsbeard yet again as we break down Raw and SmackDown. And next Thursday, the big return of Clump. Crybaby Clump will be back with us, me and Miss Amanda Jane. I am at Ref Marsh. With me today is at Miss Amanda Jane with a Y. We are at WOTR the show, and we'll be back next week right here in the dive bar of the IWC for a brand new episode 1. Guys, that's last call.
Cheers.
Hey, Producer Lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.